Hey guys, welcome into the Good Buddy Anime Podcast. I'm your good buddy Roger.
I'm your good buddy Brandon.
And we're sipping a little coffee. We're licking our wounds after the heartbreaking last 5 episodes of Made in Abyss.
I teared up a little bit. I don't think I full on cried, but I teared up.
I didn't tear up, but I definitely felt like I could feel sadness tightening inside of me.
You had to clench?
Yeah.
Would you call yourself?
Brandon has yet to go and listen to the Clincher by Chevelle.
Because none of you told me to. Thanks for having my back, Good Buddy Universe.
I think y'all should go back in and let Brandon know that he should listen to that song. And everybody knows, if you've listened, Brandon is really good at breaking this stuff down. So I'm pretty sure he could go into one simple Chevelle song.
We talked enough about Chevelle. This is not the Chevelle podcast. Jesus Christ.
A song called The Clincher. And determine whether or not
it's about clenching your butt.
Yeah, it's preparing yourself and clenching your anus.
Call it.
Because
yeah,
it
totally is, dude. You nailed it. Let's get on to the show. Look, first of all, previous 2 episodes for Made in Abyss, we covered 4 episodes. This time we're covering 5, and the last one was a freaking double episode. We need to get into it, or we're going to have another 2.5 hour podcast on our hands.
I mean, it is a real possibility. But I do want to say, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in these episodes.
Yeah.
I do want to say that our good buddy Allie had a really great idea. She talked to me, and I've set up today, as of today it launched, the Good Buddies Universe Facebook group. All you have to do is go onto Facebook if you got one of those, search the Good Buddies Universe, or facebook.com/groups/the Good Buddies Universe.
Yeah, and man. You gonna spell that for us?
I'm not gonna spell it out. I'm pretty sure most of the people here can handle Good Buddies Universe. And if for any reason you can't, or you're not very good at spelling, that's okay. Hit me up. I'll spell it out for you.
The worst.
I'm trying to be a good buddy here.
You're doing great, man.
But we have a little thread on there.
You know what, Roger? You're a great buddy.
Thanks, man. We have a little thread pinned to the top. It's 4 questions, so you guys can go ask questions there. It's a little easier than emailing us. But if you do want to email us, you can email us at thegoodbuddiesanimepod@gmail.com, and we'll get any of your emails there, and we'll read them off here. So I think that's all I really need to plug right now, but
I think we're good.
I think so. Let's head into episodes 9 through 13. It's 13, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Of Made in Abyss, the heartbreaking, but also kind of heartwarming finale.
It was pretty breaking.
Yeah, there was some.
And
there
then
were
it,
some
and then
high
it heated
moments.
up your heart pieces in the hopes they'll melt back together.
Yeah, they're building you in for that season 2, which hopefully we'll still be doing Good Buddies Anime Podcast by then.
I have no reason to believe it won't be. So let's get into it, man. Episode 9,
The Great Fault.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
So this one started
with...
my
great fault.
So this one started by answering one of my questions, which is how the hell do you get down that thing?
Yeah, because it's like a sheer...
It's like a straight up cliff.
Yep.
Like there's no way... It's full with these creatures that are flying around. They'll snatch anything out of the sky. There's no way you're going to like float down there or like, you know, just... belay. Yeah, you're not going to belay down the side of the cliff or nothing. So answered my question real quick.
You're going to get
eaten.
There's
a series... No, you're going to get eaten. There's a series of tunnels, smaller tunnels, like going like on the outside of the cliff that they just they start by like just slipping down one of these and going on in, and that's how you get through the Great Fault.
You ride the shafts.
You got it. Jesus Christ, it's always something with you, isn't it?
I mean,
all right,
wouldn't be very much fun if it wasn't.
So our intrepid heroes, they find one such shaft. They're going down. We get a brief. It's like a little monologue from a narrator talking about the nature of death. Nothing is as impartial as death. I wrote down a few quotes. Nothing is as impartial as death. Death eventually comes for us all. Death is an equalizer, an absolute truth, and it's always right behind us. It's really set in the mood.
Sounds like a song by The Used.
That's a joke for some of y'all. Not for me. But yeah, so we see Rico and Reg kind of making their way through these series of shafts and whatnot. Then we get a brief look back at up topside in Orth, where Shiggy is talking about how, I'm pretty sure they would be here by now. I'm Shiggy. I'm real smart. I had calculations. He doesn't talk like that. But he's figured out, and he's telling everyone else, they should be about at the Great Fault by now. He's so smart.
I was really excited, though, that we got to see them again.
Yeah, we get to see him a few times throughout these episodes. Not a whole lot, but it's pretty interesting.
But more than I thought.
Yeah.
I thought they were pretty much...
there's quite a few things that actually come back in this episode that I was not expecting to come back, and a lot of stuff I was hoping would that did not. So season 2, holding out. But they're going on down. They see a bunch of you already said it, Madoka Jack.
Mm-hmm.
These creepy. They look like to me some kind of weird cross between like a manta and a scorpion, and they fly.
Yeah,
they're real freaky looking, and they're huge, and
there's a Pokemon that's kind of like that.
Yeah,
it's not Crobat.
It's one of the other bat ones.
Yeah, but it's like a little it's a scorpion bat pretty much.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I don't remember what it's called.
I can't think of it. That's look, if it's outside the first 150, I'm not guaranteed to remember. I remember a lot. A weird scorpion bat thing. Not one of them.
Yeah, but
it's Glaver, something like that. Ash had one. Shit, now I gotta look it up. Damn it, Roger, why'd you bring this up? Freaking...
I wanna be the very best.
I definitely
no one
just
ever was. Ba, 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 ba. I'm never gonna
find it. It's something like
Pokemon.
that.
Oh, Brandon, you're my good buddy. We're podcasting anime together, good buddy. Oh, you're my good buddy. In a podcast will never end.
All right, I wasted too much time trying to find this. I don't remember what it's called, but I remember Ash had one, and it had.
It's called like Gligar or something like that.
Gligar or something like that. It's something with a G, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We're not
Go ahead. You just keep recapping. I'll do the Pokemon search.
All right, you do the Pokemon search. So as they're going through this series of tunnels, they find these adorable little fluffy critters that I'm in love with. And let's see, I wrote it down here. Neratantan, I think they were called. I don't think they call them by name until later.
It is called the Gligar.
Gligar, that's it.
Gligar.
Gligar, that's it. Okay.
And its category is a fly scorpion.
Well, there you go. Madoka Jack, you're on notice. Your derivative. I'm calling it now. All right. So, we spent so much time looking up Pokemon. This is gonna be the longest episode ever. I'm sorry in advance. You already know how long
Who knows?
it is.
We might hit our stride, dude. Just start trucking
God,
through.
Let's hope so. So they're going through. They meet these adorable. They see a bunch of these little adorable.
Yeah, they're really
called
cute.
Neratantans. They're like adorable. I love them. They look like what do you call it? Like a chinchilla, but like flatter and fuzzier.
Yeah, they're
fatter and flatter.
They're kind of like a mix between a chinchilla and a ferret.
Yeah, they're adorable. But as they're going, Reg hears this roaring sound, and he's like, it's definitely some kind of beast, but he's like, it's like triggering a memory kind of. He's like, I don't know, why does that sound so familiar?
Yeah, it sounds so familiar.
So they keep going. They end up in a very large cave, this super cool looking room that they go out into, and it turns out it's part of an ancient ship that somehow got stuck down here. And Reg thankfully asks my question, how did it get there? Because it looks like a straight up like sailing ship. Yeah, like you see the outside of it, it's sticking like imagine half of a big sailing ship sticking out of the side of this cliff, just covered in moss and rocks, and it's ancient. And like I'm like, what? So yeah, this show set up a lot of questions.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever got the answer to why that ship was there.
Well, not yet, but I mean, hey, keep going with seasons, guys. I'm super into it. So they're in there. It turns out this ship is serving as one of the Madoka Jack's lair.
Yeah, it's got duties everywhere.
Yeah, it's got duties everywhere. Riku steps in one. She's like, what is this?
Riku steps in a hot pile, man.
She steps in a hot pile. She looks up. She sees a big old Madoka Jack, and she's like, oh, God. Reg jumps in, takes it out, but he does end up having to recharge. He had to use his blaster.
He used his incinerator.
And he blasts the crap out of this thing, man.
Yep.
He incinerates it, shoots a hole like through the front end of what we now know as a ship, and that happens.
Incinerate me
with your love beams.
with your love heart waves.
Heart waves, that's what it was. You're the worst. You
I
have to
listen to
write
that back.
that now.
Yeah, that was a good song, yeah.
So, yeah, he manages to take it out handily, but he's like, all right, I'm going to pass out. We need to hide. We need to get out of here, which is when big old explosion at the front of the ship where that blast shot through. Boom. And here comes
our good buddy, the Crimson Split Jaw.
And he's like, it's round 2, bitch.
And it's the one that they shot earlier.
It is the one they shot. You can see a big wound.
Yeah,
it looks like
big
crystals.
crystallized wound.
Yeah, coming off of it.
It was pretty sweet.
Healing. It's pretty rad. But yeah, it is in fact the same one. Reg acknowledges and like, that thing remembers. Oh god! And they just take off. They're trying to get away. Round 2, motherfucker. The little fluffy critters almost get them killed because they're like blocking a way through this tunnel. And finally, like, as Rico's like pushing on them, saying, "Please move, please move, please move," they like see or hear the Crimson Split Jaw, and they're like, "Oh shit, we better move." So
this is very much in the vein of where we've said that this is sort of like a video game from time to time.
It feels a lot like a video game.
This is definitely that scene where you're running from whether it be some sort of like enemy like the Crimson Split Jaw or like lava or something like that. You're desperately
like
trying
Final
to
Fantasy
escape.
VIII, where like you're running away from that big robot thing at the beginning, like through the town, which is like one of the best scenes because it's like play and then it's a video. Oh,
Nemesis
so
from Resident Evil 3.
Yeah,
also
you're like running away and like you may or may not have a battle with it. You may or may not be able to take it out. You sure as
that
hell
lava
got
stage
to run.
and Bucky O'Hare. You remember that?
That was the worst, dude. Oh my god, we spent so long trying to beat that game and we still didn't get it. We'll get it back.
Yeah,
round 2.
We're going.
So yeah, man. So they managed to get away. They fall down another long tunnel. Reg finally passes out, and before he does, he's like, "Just stay here until I wake up," and then he's out.
So what does Rico do?
She immediately says, "I'm hungry," and drags him along.
Give me a freaking break with that crap, Rico.
Where's
you
Rico?
Can wait 2 hours.
You could give it to. You could just take a nap for 2 hours.
Because they were in a nice little doored-off area there.
Like they were so secure.
But yeah, one side somebody goes of the door, and the Rico hits the other one or something like that.
Definitely could have just chilled out.
Just
Rico.
chilled.
She hungies. She real hungry. So she pulls his arms out so that they're like, and she puts him over her shoulders, and she's dragging him and going he hoo and just going at it, man. I'm like, you really should just wait to immediately betray Reg's trust when he said, please just stay here. So she's going along, she's getting tired, she can't take it, she smells fruit. I smell fruit. And she gets it going, she's like, where's that smell coming from? And then a hole opens in the ground and she falls into this thing.
It's called an makagame.
It's a giant animal with like a blowhole mouth on the top of it. And she just falls in, and you're in its stomach, and it's gonna digest you. She sees like a bunch of the Naratantan. They eat this fruit that she smelled. I don't remember what the fruit was called, but they eat that. This thing apparently is producing a smell that smells like that, and it's tricked a lot of those things into falling into it. That's how it eats, and now it's got a Rico too. And Rico's flipping her shit. This is a really, really gross scene where she's like, well, gotta get out of here. So she whips out her knife and cuts into the side of this thing. Freaking Drac from in what was it? Guardians 2.
Yeah.
Where he's like inside the big monster at the beginning and cuts himself out. It's man, it's real gooey and real gross. And she manages to spill her way out of it. At which point, it's her and it's Reg, and she's still like trying to carry him, but she's out, and immediately she sees in front of her a load of those little fuzzy critters, and they are very hungry, and she smells just like their favorite food, and they start just swarming her.
And it's funny too, because whenever they're trying, at first before they get to the little ship area, they're trying to figure out how to get down. And it's, in order to do like a distraction or a diversion, she grabs like 3 of them and just
hucks them. Hucks them, yeah.
No shame at all.
There's a scene where she just hucks them out of a hole so that this one of those Madoka Jacks like chases after them and not instead of like Reg and Rico, and they get to another tunnel.
Yep.
Yeah, they also like got that far by following them. These little fuckers were really helping them out, and then she just betrayed their trust, and now they're gonna try to eat her.
Now the Nataratauntauns are gonna try to eat her.
Just we hungies. So yeah, they're going at it. Rico's running. She eventually finds what appears to be some kind of exit, and she sees daylight, and she's got to get there, but it's on a big slope that's going upward. And as we've seen before, even the tiny, if you go down, going up even a little bit can really mess you up. Like when they got to the secret camp, just going up that little gondola to get from the bridge to the secret camp, Rico was puking. It's that little bit, and you can go out, man. And so she's freaked out, but she knows she's got to do it. Otherwise, they're just going to get nibbled on to death. So she grabs Reg and starts going up, and she's going, and she's sweating, and she's stumbling because she's getting dizzy, and she pukes, and she's got to get up there. And then, oh, hey, Mark's here. Hey, Mark. And Mark's like, hey, you can come on back. It's all cool. And then Ozen's there, and she's like, yeah, just come on back. It's all cool. Chill out. And Rico's like, oh, right, hallucinations. And she sees everybody. She sees Nat and Shiggy, and everybody's there telling her, no, it's okay. Just give up. Just come on back home. Just come home. And then she gets to the top, and she sees from behind, oh, it's Liza. It's Mom.
Mm-hmm.
And Liza turns around, and she offers her hand and says, come on, let me take you home. And she takes her hand. And at this point, you ever seen Pan's Labyrinth?
Yes.
I'm thinking we're getting a Pan's Labyrinth. I'm thinking, like, the end of that movie, the little girl dies. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth. But she dies, but you see her laying there dying, and then you see her in her dream world where everything's cool. And she's just, like, hanging out with all her fairy friends and whatnot, and everything's chill. That's what I think is going to happen here. And for a minute, it seems like maybe so, because we get a scene where, like, oh, there's a gondola going up, and Rico's back home, and Liza's there, and everything's cool.
People are going crazy.
They're so happy. There's fireworks. All of her friends, leaders there, and Nat and Shiggy are there, and everybody's there. And she's like, oh, I can't believe we finally got home. Yay. And Liza's there, and she's like, yeah, we totally got home. What are you talking about? There's no curse. Curse is gone. No, it's fine. And it's all a hallucination, obviously. But then Rico stops. She says, wait, where's Reg? And Liza says, oh, no, he's at the bottom. He couldn't come with us. And she says, she can't take that.
Yeah.
In this,
if Reg can't come, then everything was pointless.
Exactly.
Is what she says.
In this amount of time, they've become so close. She can't do any of this without him. No, she absolutely can't. And so the scene, it's a really cool way they transition it, because it goes from her like crying and screaming at her mom, no, I can't leave him, to her boom, back in real life, going up that slope, no, I won't leave him, and she keeps going, and she gets to the top and collapses. And they seem to have gotten away from, the little fuzzy dudes that were chasing them, and they're in, like, it's a pretty cool looking area that's like this cave, and they can see out into, there's like big like spires that are holding up this bit of the cave, like what do you call stalagmites, stalactites, whatever.
Yeah, it looks
but they're
like
connected or whatever.
So it looks like a cross between like ruins and maybe like a giant rib cage or something like that.
Yeah. And they can like see out into the Great Fault where like there's open air, and in here they're just kind of chilling. And it's a pretty neat place to chill out while hopefully Reg finally wakes up, because we don't know how long it's been. It's apparently been quite a bit. Because she was at one point she's saying, how much longer until he wakes up? It seems like it's been forever. And that's when there's a big roar, and there's a big crash, and the Crimson Splitjaw is back. Round 3, sucker. And it's coming after her. It's like staring her down, and Reg's still not awake. She's terrified. She knows she can't deal with this, but she pulls out Blaze Reap, and we're gonna get to see some Blaze Reap action finally. And Splitjaw's back. She pulls out Blaze Reap. She's getting ready, and then as it's charging her is when Reg finally wakes up, and you don't see her use Blaze Reap. You see this thing barreling toward her, and then Reg just like boom, rockets like his whole body. It just headbutts the crap out of this thing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was super cool. It was like he just straight up bolt like it was like he hit R2 in that freaking new Dragon Ball Z game and just zoom, just zipped into him. Yeah. Dragon rushed him. He straight up dragon rushed this thing. And then Rico's like, oh, you're awake. And then he's like, Blaze Reap. And she throws him the thing. He grabs it. He's able to hold it pretty well. Rico was like kind of struggling because the thing's as big as her, but she was holding it. She manages to get it to him, and he holds it and just jumps up and slams the crap out of this thing right in the side of the head. And there's a click, and there's an explosion, and it just like boom.
It's like there's like a chain of explosions happening.
Yeah, it goes. It's really
awesome.
Cool. It's like you said, it was kind of like a shotgun in a pickaxe kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
like, no wonder she used this thing. It's freaking badass.
It's super badass, and he nails this sucker. It goes down.
And I think that's called the super dash. The Dragon Rush is where is the little move forward. I just wanted to
look. We'll do another podcast.
That doesn't
about
matter.
games.
I just wanted to correct myself because I think that was wrong. But
all right,
that's completely pointless.
You're right. Dragon Rush is where you jump up and do the bunch of hits and knock them. Yeah.
But the Blaze
Point is,
Reap
it was great.
was
Point
amazing.
is, the Blaze Reap was awesome. Splitjaw just got handled, and everything's kind of chill. So they continue on, and the next bit you see is them like taking a break and eating out next to like another hole where they can see out into the open air. And they look out the hole and look down, and they can see, hey, we're almost there. They can see the Goblet of Giants.
Yep.
As it was called. Reg also makes a comment about how the walls at the bottom here have these spikes all over them that are actually like eggs or something.
Yeah, they're little eggs for these squid type creatures
that we see in the next episode.
Yeah. And then the only other thing to mention at the end is Rico realizes that it's very important that she has Reg there. That she can't really recognizes how reckless she was.
Mm-hmm.
And now she knows, okay, I can't do this without Reg.
Now you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty great. So that's episode 9. On to episode 10.
Episode 9.
Episode
Poison
10.
and the Curse.
Poison.
And this is where we start hitting that little bit of a darker stride.
This is where it gets brutal. This episode freaking was hard to watch.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one they warned us about. So yeah, we're in the Goblet of Giants. They look like these huge. I guess the easiest way for me to reconcile them is they look like big martini glasses.
Yeah,
like they're these huge spire-like plant formations apparently that go up and then bow out into like a huge like bowl type thing on top, which is overflowing with hot water like a hot spring, and they just go down. And there's like, we see several dozen. There's probably hundreds and thousands of them all over this level, is what we're assuming.
Mm-hmm.
And they're super cool looking.
Yeah, I think this was the place that I was most excited to see.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And this is, well, as it turns out, it's where you spend most of the rest of this season.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much all the rest of it, with a pretty big flashback exception.
And this is layer 4.
Yes, this is layer 4, the Goblet of the Giants' goblets they call them. But yeah, their tops are overflowing with these hot spring things. She calls them flat creepers, which are these big plants that like form the goblets. Really cool stuff. I will point out that you get that little intro, and then it does the actual intro to it. And I don't know if you noticed or if you skip the intro every time, but at the end of the intro, when it does the dun, 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 and it shows all these other like big sweeping images, like here's the city, here's the abyss, here's this. Right, the last thing you see is this little card that shows a picture of something. And the last several episodes, the last like 4 or 5, it was Ozin and Marl.
Yeah, you see different characters there. I did watch
this time. We got a card change. And we see that bunny character that we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, snap, we're going to meet the bunny. I'm so happy. I really wanted to meet that bunny. And then I was so psyched about meeting the bunny, and then this freaking episode just destroyed my heart. This one hurt.
But hey, we get to meet the bunny.
We do get to meet the bunny. And what a cool bunny. So, Rico kind of gives Reg the once-over, like telling him what she knows about this area. Talking about, oh yeah, those so like you see these in the water, sometimes they'll see these squid-like creatures, and that's what hatches from those spiky eggs. They fall down and they land in this water.
Yeah, they look like the little things from Mario.
Yeah, they look like bloopers or blippers, whatever. They're super cute. And she actually mentions they don't even have a name yet. As many creatures as we've seen that have been named, she says only about 10% of the creatures in the abyss have been named. Yeah. Like, there's so much more out there that we haven't seen, which I'm super psyched to find.
So it's like our very own oceans.
Yeah, it's really cool. Reg, while they're kind of sitting in this little area where they're kind of chilling for a minute, he says, hang on, and he stops her from talking. He says, something's watching us. He doesn't know what it is, but he says something's been watching us since we got here, and he doesn't know what it is or where it is. But
it moves towards us whenever you speak.
He says whenever it only moves when they're talking, so it's pretty likely that it understands human speech or something. So don't know what's going on there, but something's watching them. He says he senses it. So the next scene is they're continuing on. They're going through one of these big watery areas on top of one of these goblets. It's all steamy. You can't see anything, and then the steam clears, and there's this massive creature that looks like it's like on all fours. It's all white with a huge red, what you would assume is like its nose. And its big red nose, clown nose thing has like 5 holes in it, and it's huge and fuzzy, and it's got these big spikes all over it. And it kind of faces them and gets in like kind of a defensive position, and these spikes rear up and start pointing at them. Like these are clearly it's able to. It's horrifying. This huge thing. So Rico says that's an orbed piercer.
Yep. Orby.
Yeah, they call it Orby later, but it's an orbed piercer. It's got these huge quills that can pierce steel, and she says you got to be careful, Reg. Like you're tough, but this thing can mess you up bad. It's also extremely poisonous, these quills, and it's apparently, we find out, very, very, very smart, because Reg tries to handle this thing. He like jumps out of the way, and it still manages to tear open the bag. Yeah. With its quills, and he's like, how's that thing so fast? And then it's the bag's torn open. He looks and he sees Blaze Reap still wrapped up, is like sitting here it's like right next to its foot in the water, and he's like, I gotta get to Blaze Reap. And then this thing just kind of stomps and knocks Blaze Reap away.
Yeah, it just kicks it away like it knows.
Like it
Once
knows.
Again, yeah.
It's apparently very, very smart. Like, whoa. It's like before we were dealing with like, some pretty big animals. Maybe it's pretty interesting how the deeper we go, obviously the creatures are even getting more and more smart and whatnot. Because before it was like, okay, here's a big creepy bird thing. Here that can trick people into thinking it needs help, and then you come over and it eats you. And here's this big waba, what was it called? Madoka Jack thing. Yeah. It's like a creepy flying thing. Doesn't really seem to do anything, but it's pretty creepy.
Very fast.
And then all of a sudden, that split jaw from before, it remembers you. And then this thing, not only does it know you and know you're a threat, it also knows, this is what you want. No, you can't have that.
Yeah, this is your weapon. This is what you're going to harm me with.
Yeah, it's really rad. So the thing's staring him down. Rico gives Reg her it's a scaled umbrella. It's like a big armored umbrella, like a shield, to try and use to scare it off. Like if you can make yourself look bigger, she says. So it charges him. He tries to use it to block. It doesn't work. It doesn't scare it off. It does pierce right through this thing, almost hitting Reg. And Reg's like, "Oh God, that was way too close." And he like jumps back and he's like, "Rico, we gotta." And he looks. Rico's been hit.
Yeah, she has one straight through the hand.
She has a huge spine going straight through her hand. And this thing's incredibly poisonous. Oh, this is a bad situation. And Reg jumps back and he's holding her and he's like, all right, this is going to hurt. And he pulls it out. And he's like, we gotta go. He takes a rope and ties off her arm, which, for all you kids out there, if you're in Boy Scouts like me, you do not use a tourniquet on Venom. You do not do that. That's a bad move. It's just going to make things worse. Necrosis is going to set in on that, and then it's way worse than just poison. But you don't deal with that stuff. So he jumps back, he ties her arm off to try and keep the blood in her hand, which seems like it would make sense. Not how that works. Yeah. And he's looking around. This thing's too fast. Rico's hurt. He's got a carrier. He says, there's no way I can fight this thing. There's no way I can run away from it. The only other option is to go up.
And we're on the 4th level.
Which we know when you go up on the 4th level, it's not just nausea and hurting and dizziness. Yeah. You're going to start bleeding. You're going to have some internal
bleed out of every orifice in your body.
This is and some extreme pain, it says. So he makes a call. He shoots his arm up, grabs one of these big goblet things above him and gets them out of there. And they get up there, and he lays her out on a grassy area, and she's clearly in a lot of pain. And we see things from her perspective from a second, and she's like, it's all like psychedelic'd out, like everything's crazy. She looks at her hand and she sees like goo flying out of it. And Reg's like, oh, well, it's if the bleeding started, maybe it pushes all the poison out. And then she's like, but yeah, when the poison's gone, then, and she just starts bleeding from her eyes and from her nose and from her ears and from her mouth.
Yeah, and this is not like normal looking blood.
It's like really
red
thick,
clay. It's
really thick.
It's very grotesque.
Blood.
Yeah,
it's like already congealed blood, and it's terrifying. It's so hard to watch, man. This stuff gets really, really serious, and it's really scary. I wrote down a lot of bleeding. Oh wow, a lot of bleeding. Holy shit. Reg is like looking at, like trying to see, okay, what can I do? He's saying, no, don't pass out. Don't, just stay with me. What can I do? What can I do? He looks at her hand. Her hand is just volleyball size, massive, swollen. Almost like she looks like she's got a sock 'em bopper on her hand or something. Like her hand is massive.
Yeah.
Like cartoonishly so, fitting it's a cartoon, but it's really scary when you realize what that means for this.
Have you ever like blown up
like a surgical glove?
latex glove? Yeah. It's like that.
It's like huge. And like her glove is still on. He's like, I got to get the glove off to help with it. And he tries to pull it and she just starts screaming in pain. It's so painful. And she's bleeding from everywhere. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I got to do something about your arm. And she tells him, all right, cut it off. Cut it off. We got to keep going. Like Rico is in a lot of pain, but she still knows what she wants. She still knows what her mission is, and she's got to keep going. If keep going means I lose an arm, fine, cut it off.
Yeah.
And there's a very, oh god, so painful scene. So
she gives him some bad advice too. Some advice that is not recommended, but she does it. We'll talk about it a little more later on why she does it.
This is very painful.
She has him break her arm at the wrist, almost like a little above the
kind
wrist.
of between the elbow and wrist. She says you're gonna have to break it first. You won't be able to cut through the bone, so you're gonna have to break it. And he takes another rope and ties off her arm a little bit higher up than the first one. And you don't see him breaking it, but it's like a far shot, and she's got like a piece of wood in her mouth that he gave her, and you hear this just snapping, this crunch, and her just scream. The wood flies out of her mouth, and she's puking blood as it happens. It's excruciating, dude. It's very painful. It's very hard to watch. Like this was brutal, man. This was a very, very
it's like one of those teeth clenching moments.
It hurt, man.
Or butt clenching, the clencher, Chevelle.
You're not gonna let it go.
No, man.
But yeah, man.
Whenever I ever let anything go,
it really hurts to watch, man. So he breaks it. He starts cutting. A bunch of bugs start swarming around, and he's like shooing them away and waving the knife at him to try and get him to leave her alone. Like he's cut partway through her arm. It's not even completely cut.
Yeah, he starts cutting through. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's so gross. And her arm looks like a crinkled ball of paper at this point.
It looks like a bendy straw that you twisted. It's so bad.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's the image.
It's such a cute anime, and the characters are so cute, and they just throw this really grotesque, brutal images.
It hurts. So then he's like shooing the bugs away, and he looks down and he sees Rico is turning gray, and she's not breathing, and it's like, oh no, is she dead? And he just starts crying, and he says, don't leave me, no, I can't, please don't leave me. And he's crying and screaming, and she's just laying there doing nothing. And then there's a voice that says, hey, her heart's still beating. And he turns, and there's this thing standing there that looks like a bunny person, but like with this armor or something on it. And he's like, what are you talking about? Who are you? And he points the knife and is like, hey, do you want help or not, man? And he's like, yeah, okay, what do I do? And he's like, well, okay, first of all, her heart is still beating. She's just not breathing. You need to get her breathing. Well, how do I get her breathing? Well, you kiss her. Like a kiss. You got to breathe some air into her.
Yes. And what he's instructing is CPR.
Exactly. What's being instructed is CPR. What this bunny thing is telling him. And so he tries blowing into her mouth, and nothing seems to be happening. And the bunny's like, okay, well, you got to pinch your nose shut. Okay. And he's blowing, and he says, and lean her head back a little bit to open the airway. Okay. And he's doing it. And there's a cough, and then she's like breathing again, and she's got some color back in her face, but she's still clearly in a horrible, horrible way. And the bunny person says, okay, well, I think I can help you with this, all right? But you're going to have to, you come with me. First, you need to get some sticks and keep that arm,
it'll snap
straight.
off.
It'll just dangle there and break completely. Like, it'll just fall away.
Because at this point, her hand is like, so they have these very little, like, their
have, like,
arms
stick
and stuff are so small.
They're like noodle hands. And then there's
she's
this
got like
giant
a watermelon,
volleyball, yeah, on the end of her tiny stick arm. It's really horrifying to look at. It hurts. And so the bunny thing says, all right, well, get some sticks, fix it, like bound it up so it doesn't just wiggle around and fall off. Okay, fine. And then it's like, okay, well, you can just come with me and I'll see what I can do. And he's like, okay, I'm coming. And he's carrying Rico, and the bunny's like, not too close, man. And so follow, they go.
We ain't that cool.
Yeah, they get to like this, they go for a little ways, like we find out later, away from the center of the abyss, toward the edge. And there's like this small, there's like a little, it goes like up to an incline, and then over that there's like this glowing like green light, which is where the bunny thing's leading Reg, carrying Rico. And Reg says, well, I can't, if I go up there, then the curse. And the bunny's like, oh, you can't see it, huh?
Yeah.
We're like, what are you talking about? Well,
there's no curse
here. Just come on. And so he goes up, they come to this awesome looking little tree house, which is like just a bundle, like a round bundle of like tree and leaves and whatnot, with a little ladder going up that when they get inside is like a proper home. And they get in there, he lays Rico down, and the bunny thing like unties this thing around its neck, and that armor falls forward. And Reg says something like, what are you? And he's looking around, and this house is full of like scavenging gear and black and moon whistles like hanging on the wall. Like clearly this thing is like some kind of scavenger or something. And he says, what are you exactly? And this bunny creature, you can now see its face now that the armor thing is off of it. And it's an adorable little bunny person. And they say, oh, I'm Nanachi. I'm what you cave raiders would call a hollow. And that's where it cuts off.
Bum.
And Nanachi's like super rad looking. He's like a little bunny person, and they got little hat, and they got little their hands are like all big on the end. They're super cute.
Nanachi, it looks just like a Final Fantasy Tactics character.
It does. They do look a lot like Nanachi. Looks a lot like that. And
I love this character.
I love this
Probably
character
my
too.
favorite character in the whole series.
I would definitely say that if I had to go top 3 characters in this show, for me, Shiggy, you have been ousted. Nanachi's number 1, then Ozen and Marlk. I don't know the order for them yet. I still love them, but yeah, Nanachi's amazing and like probably my favorite character.
And the really cool thing about
Nanachi has super cool eyes too. They got like
they're like little
goat eyes.
little goat eyes,
like little rectangular pupils in there. So cool.
And
we had speculated before, is that a bunny girl? And I was like, well, we don't know. We haven't seen the character yet. It might be a boy. We don't know. If you look it up, totally ambiguous. In fact, all the descriptions of the character describe them as they. And the author of the manga even said, when asked on Twitter, hey, what is Nanachi's gender? He just straight up said, it's a mystery. Just, wonder about it. Mm-hmm. Like, it's really cool. I like that they basically have a straight up
now getting into
character.
it, I feel like Nanachi, and I might accidentally say he, because I kind of relate him to more of a male character, and that's kind of with his relationship with his friend that we get to meet here in a second. But man, this character is still awesome.
This character is so cool.
I mean, it's so dry, especially in this next episode. I think that's what I like the most about Nanachi. He's so dry.
Nanachi's awesome. I'm gonna try to say they or just Nanachi, but yeah, super cool character. I absolutely adore this character.
It doesn't feel right, and
no, it's terrible. You don't say that.
You don't say that.
We're describing a sentient being.
He's my they're my buddy Nanachi.
Whatever, man.
Yeah,
and we're gonna slip up, but yeah, super cool. So yeah, we're on to episode, and I do love the way that episode 10 cuts out. I'm Nanachi. I'm what you cavers would call, and then there's a pause, and the music drops out. A hollow. Yeah. Cut. Just
it has this little like smirk on its face too.
Yeah. Nanachi just kind of like Nanachi's like so. Let's talk about Nanachi. Nanachi's covered in short, dark brown fur, has a long tail, which is the least bunny thing about. It's the only thing about it that doesn't look like a bunny rabbit. A long, like, kind of a lizard tail, but still covered in that brown fur. Has, like, little lighter marks on their cheeks, which have these little ping, these little, like...
Yeah.
Like whiskers that stick out of them. Cute little, like, typical anime Kitty 3 mouth.
Yep.
With, like, when their mouth's open, they have, like, little fangs.
Little lowercase W.
Yeah, these wild looking eyes that are like all different colors, and then the very middle, the black pupil, is just a rectangle like a goat, and like these adorable ears that just stick straight up, and like hair like a person would have hair, even though they're covered in hair, like shoulder length bob cut hair. This is like the cutest character ever, and I love. And
it's got a little bitty helmet.
A little helmet.
This little bitty knight helmet.
Interestingly, when they have like their helmet on. Like, they have these little, like, bangs that kind of hang down on the side. When the helmet's on, they're way longer, like they're extensions in the helmet, and there's little rings on the end. This character looks amazing, and I love them.
Yeah, I love this character.
She's adorable. We haven't talked to... So, I was joking with Roger about doing Pop Team Epic on this. I don't think we'd ever be able to, because that show is insane, and that makes no sense. But there's a bit in there where they have, in episode 2... that I watched where it's like pick your fortune, and you take a picture of the screen while like all these different fortunes flash across, and then you translate them if you don't speak Japanese. One of them just says, "Very good luck, Nanachi is super cute," and there's a little picture of Nanachi. And I'm like, this is awesome. Yeah. I like remember seeing that before we started watching this, and I was like, oh, that's neat, because like that was the one I took a picture and I got that one. I was like, oh, I don't know who this character is.
There was another anime that I suggested when we were trying to figure out what we're going to do next, which we will say at the end of the episode what we're doing next.
Yeah.
And it was called Karakai Jozu no Takagi-san.
That's hard to say.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but it has really good reviews, and I watched the first episode of it, and it's kind of like Pop Team Epic.
Oh, really?
Where it's like little mini-sodes. Now, it's not as
ridiculous?
Yes.
That show's wild.
And I think, like, if we ever want to do it, we probably could. It would just be harder. Yeah. But I am definitely going to watch it. I did want to shout out, because I did watch the first episode, and it was super cute. I liked it a whole lot. But,
shout out.
Yeah. So check out Karaki Jozu no Takagi-san. It's a very fun little jokey
That
anime.
one you probably should spell.
Yeah.
At least the first word, so people can type that into Google.
Karakai.
Yeah, there you go.
Jozu, Jozu, no Takagi, Takagi, hyphen San, San.
Sounds pretty cool.
Pretty cool little anime.
I read a little bit about that, and it looks pretty cool. I don't know if that'd be kind of hard to cover.
Yeah, because it's a bunch of shorts, but
that's one I'll have to check out on my own. But yeah, man, so we got Nanachi. Nanachi's adorable, and we go on to episode 11.
Nanachi.
I love Nanachi. Nanachi's so cute.
So good.
So the first thing I wrote down in my notes is, what's a hollow? Because I had my suspicions. Now we have Nanachi, who is the first character to say, I am a hollow. And I'm like, hey, what's that mean? So, the first thing we see is Nanachi doing a little bunny surgery. You damn kids doing your damn surgery. I wrote down damn cartoon kids and their bunny surgery.
Yeah, Nanachi's very proficient at this.
Nanachi's very good at this, apparently. Just nailing it. But it does have a few faults, as they'll mention here. But Nanachi basically says that Nanachi, see, there I go. Nanachi removes the ropes, saying, this is probably a bad idea. Don't use tourniquets. That's a lesson for all you. You get bit by a snake, don't use a tourniquet. You get somewhere. You get somewhere away from the snake. You get safe. You keep the part of you that's bitten below your heart, so that it's harder for blood to run back up to you. And you find someone, or call an ambulance, or get somebody to help you. You don't suck out poison. You don't apply a tourniquet. That's a really bad idea.
And he asks, why didn't you cut off the arm at the elbow?
Here's my question that I wrote down in the last bit of notes. Hey, super cool bunny person who knows how to fix all this stuff, who you saw them, you like told Reg before you were watching, and you felt pity when you walked over. That's why you walked over to help him. What took you so long? Yeah. You could have been there a little bit sooner.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Well, he says he wasn't going to go over there.
They said they weren't going to go over there, yeah. But, I mean, and then they took pity, and we find out later why they took pity. But, man, so basically says you just got to let the poison run, and then we're going to remove it once it's once most of its course has been run. I have a special medicine, Nanachi says, which looks like this weird candle thing. It's like a liquid form. She said, Nanachi, see, there I go. Nanachi says it's a special antidote for this that was made by a friend of mine. We'll meet. She is now in a wax form. It's been like solidified. And that since Rico's passed out and we can't do it orally, got to go up the butt. Suppository.
Yeah. They do not shy away from using the word butthole. In
I feel like that's a translation. I feel like if in English they just say in the rectum, but they might say butthole.
Well, I mean, Sentai is the one they're an American company.
I don't know, man.
Why do they say butthole? Why don't they just say butt?
It's definitely fun to say.
Put it in the butt.
Yeah,
put it in the butthole.
You gotta raid that cave,
You gotta go full. Yeah, we gotta go cave raiding. So she gets her cave raided with this medicine.
Yeah, and Reg's in the background like and like blushing and like like turning away a little bit. It's pretty hard to watch. But so it's a suppository. Pops it on up the butt. Nanachi has already removed the ropes. Starts sewing up the arm. And this is where Nanachi says, yeah, you see this white part? Yeah, he does mention you should have broke it at the elbow. Breaking the arm here. I mean, you could have. The elbow is pretty easy to just cut through and, not have to worry about breaking bones and stuff. So Nanachi's like removing little bits of bone and then sews it up. And as they're sewing, they say, oh, yeah, you see this white part here? That's a nerve. I'm not good at these. Like, not going to have a bunch of feeling there. It's not going to be the same as it was. But Nanachi sews it on up. The hand is still massive and swollen, but we got medicine. A wound is partially taken care of. Got it in a little splint so it's holding it straight.
Yep.
And that's where we're at.
And the reason that he broke the arm there is because Rico asked him to, because Rico's the drive to continue raiding caves.
That is a very important thing that Nanachi even asked. Nanachi says, why did you do this? Why did you do it here? And Nanachi says, oh, did she ask you to or something? Yeah, she did. And he says as much.
If you lose, what they explain is that, I don't know the science behind this. Maybe they're talking about getting some prosthetic appendage or something if they had to. But if you lose the arm above the elbow, then it makes it much harder to go cave raiding.
Yeah.
So Rico is more willing to suffer or potentially die than to lose the ability to go any further.
If I can't go further, I may as well die.
Yeah.
It seems like was her whole motivation there. But yeah, it's rough, man. So Rico is relatively stable. She's still dying, and Nanachi explains that. But we get a little bit of a look around Nanachi's house before anything else happens. Nanachi says Reg's asking Nanachi about, like, what's your deal? You're a hollow? What's a hollow? What does that mean? He actually asks.
What's your story?
Yeah. Tell me about it, bunny person. So Nanachi says, oh, let me introduce you to my friend, and takes Reg over to this other room that's held off by a curtain and opens it. And there's this...
Enter Mitty.
Mitty is this goo thing that has like one eye and a freaky sideways mouth lined with teeth, and is just going like kind of like a cat. It's real. Yeah. It's pretty disturbing. But it's like disturbing. This gooey thing.
And then, but before you really find the backstory on it too, it's like disturbing, but it's almost like a cute creature.
It's kind of cute. It's a little bit cute. It's just weird. It's just really weird.
Well,
but Nanachi very clearly has a deep affection for this thing, and
it looks
Nanachi's like petting it, and it's like kind of touching.
It feels like
her
that like maybe claws. Nanachi found this creature out there, or whatever, and it has just kind of had it as a pet.
Yeah, it's kind of like her pet, kind of like Nanachi's pet, and like she refers to Nanachi refers to Mitty as a she, and like, oh, this is my friend Mitty, blah blah blah, and blah 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 blah. And yeah, it's a really freaky looking thing. Says this is Mitty. She's also a hollow. And I wrote down Mitty is some sort of melted abomination. And Nanachi explains not all hollows are as cool as me. I'm the exception among exceptions, an exceptional exception, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
And that Nanachi stays hidden because if people find out that this is a thing, that can happen, well, they'll want to study me. I'll never get to go anywhere. I won't have any freedom, blah, 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 this and that. It's a real, it has to live this relatively solitary lifestyle. But with MIDI, obviously, it's not completely solitary. So that's a little bit about where Nanachi's at anyway. Says something to the effect of tells Reg that, I wasn't going to even talk to you guys, but I wanted to save you out of pity. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we get there's a very brief like flashback scene where you see this large imposing figure that we recognize it from the description earlier from Ozin as being Bondrewd, reaching down and patting a unarmored, unclothed Nanachi on the head saying, "Oh, you're so cute." Something like that. So apparently has some history.
Yeah.
Like he's rubbing Nanachi's head in some area. I don't know. It's weird. We don't really get anything about that yet, but we will. So we also see Bondrewd's whistle, Bondrewd's white whistle,
the clasped
which is
hands.
really freaky looking. It looks like two like pale dead hands just like clasped and wrinkled together. It's really freaky looking. I told Roger it reminded me of that dude from My Hero Academia that has the hands all over him, like on his face and crap.
It's like clasped hands, and it's got a whistle tip on the end. Whoop whoop.
Yeah, whoop whoop. Is that the whistle? Is that your whistle?
Bob rubbing little sis, man. Whistle tips.
Whoop whoop.
They go whoop whoop.
You're the worst. But yeah, so we know that Nanachi has some history with Bondrewd, although it hasn't been said yet. But we saw that little clip. So Nanachi says, "All right, here's what I need to fix to help Rico," and has it all written down. Hands Reg this little thing that has all this writing on it and a few pictures of like this and that, and Nanachi says it even has my signature at the bottom, and Nanachi's signature is literally a drawing of Nanachi's bunny head, and then the characters for Nanachi underneath it, and it's adorable, and Nanachi's the best character, and I'll fight every one of you.
I don't think anybody's really gonna argue with you, big guy.
They better not, and if they do, they can catch these hands.
I'm gonna get these hands.
It's the worst. So we then have a short little like a montage of Reg running around finding all these different ingredients and things that Nanachi needs while we hear Nanachi sort of narrating it. So Reg's out at one of those big pools on top of the goblet and says, and you hear Nanachi say, I need a demon fish, and it has to be, you want the bigger the better.
Yep.
And you want to find one that the coloring on the back of it and the coloring on its belly are very clearly different.
Yeah,
that's how you know it's a good one. And so we see him catching one. Reg catches one, pops it into the backpack, gets on moving. We need giant hammerbeak eggs, and we need a few of them, and you want to get one from different nests. You don't want to get any from the same nest. It got to be different nests. Okay, fine. Different nests. And we see Reg doing that, stealing some eggs from a nest, getting attacked by a giant hammerbeak. Oh boy. But he gets them, pops them in the backpack, keeps moving. We need yellow shining grass, which apparently grows on the underside of those big goblets. And it's this very bright yellow. And
it's like luminescent.
Yeah, it's bioluminescent or something. It's glowing this bright gold. And Reg's up there, and Nanachi also says, make sure you pick a few sprigs. You want the bit that smells the best. If it smells different, you want the good smelling grass. So you see Reg doing that. Grab, and I got this one. Puts it in the backpack. Keep on moving. And then the last thing is we need a shroom bear that is infected with water shrooms. And we see shroom bears, and shroom bears are super cute. And this is one of those things where I'm like, all right, this is one, adorable, two, a really, really cool creature they made up.
Mm-hmm.
It's these adorable little, they say shroom bear. They look like a little bear, or maybe like a small fuzzy animal.
Like a small otter or something.
Yeah, like these little dudes.
Beaver, like a beaver without a beaver tail.
Yeah, like a beaver without a beaver tail. I'm with that, yeah. Like these little beaver dudes without beaver tails. They're shroom bears, and they have these big purple, like mushrooms. These like kind of translucent mushrooms on the back of them. You can see they have like some kind of liquid in the mushrooms.
Yeah.
And Reg finds a good one, grabs it, and it's like, no, let me go, and takes it, pops it in the backpack. Let's move.
I love the little scene before he moves. Is it popping out of the back of the little backpack?
Yeah, it like pops its head out. It's like, ah, come on, man. And also, I'm like, you put all these in the same big backpack. That thing. I mean, how do I know that shroom bear didn't eat that fish, which already ate that grass, which smushed the eggs? Like, what's going on here? Like, it's it's kind of silly, but they make it happen. Red gets back, and
I'm already fearing for the shroom bear's life too. Like, they're gonna kill
that shroom bear's definitely gonna die, which is kind of a bummer of a scene because yes, Nanachi does kill it because it has to, because they have to get the shrooms off of it. But yeah, so gets it all back. When Red gets back, he walks in. He's like, "I got the step," and he freezes because he's looking and he sees Nanachi is pulling off Rico's clothes. Once again, Rico's always naked. This time, not by choice, but had to happen because clothes were filthy, covered in blood and every other liquid.
Urine, yeah.
Yeah.
Blood and pee. I mean,
pee blood. I mean, when we say bleeding from every orifice, we freaking mean it.
That's the thing, is you're bleeding from every orifice. So. Yeah.
It's rough stuff. And Nachi's pulling all the clothes off, and Reg's like, "What are you?" It's like, she's covered in blood and pee, dude. Don't be weird. Like, here, take this, go wash this up. And like hands Reg Rico's clothes. Clothes need washing, blah 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 blah. And then Nanachi kind of gives a brief explanation of what this stuff is for. He says, "Oh yeah, these water shrooms. So here's the thing about these water shrooms." And you actually see this stuff happening as is explained. Mm-hmm. And again, this is like the coolest creature. I love this. This is like such cool writing. Like, they just made up these things.
There is one other thing that I want to mention real quick. So before Red gets back while he's on his way, you have a small little scene with Nanachi, and he recognizes Liza's whistle.
Mm-hmm. Nanachi does recognize the whistle.
Yeah, it doesn't explain too much about it.
Maybe Actually, not the whistle, but maybe just that it is a white whistle. Obviously, Nanachi's familiar.
It seems like he's familiar, or they are familiar with the whistle.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just because it's white whistle. It really seemed like, okay, I know this whistle.
Maybe. Yeah. But
it's not answered at all, so it is a maybe for sure. But it feels like it.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if Nanachi recognized that specific whistle, or just because Nanachi, we know, has some history with Bondrewd and has seen
it just seems
to
be that way,
and knows that whistles come in different colors because they have all these different whistles hanging up. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. We'll find out.
But I feel like it is probably a notable scene.
Maybe so. But either way, Nanachi definitely recognizes that this is a whistle. It is white. Maybe recognize it specifically. But we go on from there. Nanachi explains that, so what these water shrooms are is they're this fungus that grows on the back of these water bears. And it's a host that feeds off of it, which you would think, okay, so it's a parasite. Well, it's not. It's symbiotic. It's symbiosis, because what's actually happening is they're living on this thing, so when that thing is getting old or tired and falls over and is about to croak, these water shrooms release that water that's in them, that liquid, back into it, and it's like Pulp Fiction's needle into Uma Thurman's chest, and wakes this sucker back up, and it keeps on moving, which means they get to keep living too, which is such a cool little relationship. The creature building in this is amazing.
Yeah, they really thought a lot of this stuff out. I can't wait to see more. I
really love this show. It's got a great story. It's very fascinating. It's a really good adventure. The creatures are great.
It's unpredictable.
Yes, it's very unpredictable. The music's great. Like we said before, it really does feel like a video game to me. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of stuff, these are different creatures I would run into, playing through whatever, and I would see this thing and that thing. I'd fight this, and I'd find these, and then, I get to learn about all this stuff. It's really neat, and the music is so good, too. I was listening to the soundtrack, which is on Spotify, and it, just going through it, I was like, oh, this is the track that plays when that happened. That's the track that plays when that happened, which is a feeling I usually only get when I'm, listening to a video game soundtrack. Mm-hmm. It was really cool, because I'm like, man, this show really is nailing it.
Yeah, the music is very good,
The music's very good in this show. Check out that soundtrack if you haven't. It's on Spotify. It's very, very good. But yeah, so Nanachi, after explaining that's what the shrooms are, that's what they do, takes them, has killed the water shroom bear, takes very gently removes these mushrooms after saying, oh yeah, these are good ones, they're really full too, and takes them, puts them onto Rico's arm and stitches them on there, saying that these things will release their it's basically just gonna release that liquid in, which is gonna act as a medicine and keep Rico alive and speed up the healing process. This is gonna be very, very good, is what Nanachi is saying.
Yeah.
And they also mention that, you know, they're great, they're gonna help a lot. They also are gonna root into her arm, and taking them off is gonna suck.
Yep.
A lot, but it'll keep Rico alive. So.
Can't be any worse than the crap she's already dealt with.
Yeah, they pump the nutrients in. Let's see. Sewn onto Rico's arm, I wrote down, help it heal. And then Reg, of course, like all of us, says, well, what's the rest for? Dinner, duh. And Nanachi just, like, takes the eggs and the fish and everything else and just puts it all in one bowl and has this freaky mixer thing. Doesn't even cut the fish, doesn't remove the entrails, just throws everything in a bowl and uses this freaky little hand-cranked grinder, like, blender thing to just make this gross black paste, heats it up. That's dinner, baby. And this is a great bit where Reg's like, are you kidding me? You could have just told me about the water shroom, the shroom bear, and I got that, and we could have been, you know, this would have been a lot faster. You said, like, if I didn't get back in a certain amount of time, she would die. And Nanchi's like, well, yeah, but if I fall over because I'm so hungry, who's gonna fix her then? And Reg's like, oh, I guess you're right.
Yeah, fair point.
And Nanachi, to which Nanachi turned away from Reg, just says, man, he's a real pushover.
Yeah.
Which becomes a bit of a theme. Because he really is a pushover. And Reg is, like, so happy and so grateful that Nanachi's done this, and is, like, shaking Nanachi's hand and saying, oh, thank you so much, thank you. And then, like, kind of rubs Nanachi's hand and says, oh, you're really fluffy, huh? And Nanachi's like, you're too close.
Yeah,
again,
me.
Nanachi is not particularly comfortable with Reg being so close to them. So Nanachi says, look, chill out. I get it, I'm fuzzy. Don't need you petting me. Just go wash those clothes. There's a stream out back. Go wash the clothes. So we see Reg go out back into this large, this like very grassy area covered in grass and moss and loads of those flowers of fortitude.
The eternal fortunes.
Also referred to as eternal fortunes. And Reg looks around and sees all these, they look like rocks, like thin rocks sticking out of the ground. And he says, are these gravestones? And he keeps going, and he hears something say, I think, I wrote down the quote. I think the quote was, well, I can't remember what the quote was because I wrote down a lot of stuff here. But he hears something. He hears a voice say something. He goes, what? And he looks up, and there's all these flowers going up to a point, and there's Blaze Reap sticking out of the ground. Yep. And he says, well, wait, this is Blaze Reap. I thought Blaze Reap was lost. What's going on? Where am I? And it looks just like Liza's grave, as we've seen it described. And he turns around away from it. He hears a voice say, I'll be going now, Liza. And he looks down. He turns around. He's like, where did that come from? And he looks down, and in his hand, instead of those clothes, is this weird blue pendant. And he's like, what? Like on a necklace. He's like, what's going? And then he hears a voice, and he looks up, and Nanachi's standing there, and Nanachi says, what are you doing? You're just staring at those pissy clothes.
Poof, everything's gone.
It's all gone. And I'm like, what was that? Was that a hallucination? Was that a memory? It was weird. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. And Nanachi's like, all right, whatever, man. Just wash those clothes and get back inside. And Reg just sits there kind of contemplating for a second. Was that one of my memories or something?
Yeah, he thinks it's...
He says,
sure he thinks it's one of his memories. He thinks that it's possibly his voice, too.
Yeah. And he says, did I bury her? But no one was in the grave. Why? If I was the only one there, was I mourning her? What happened? Like, he doesn't know what happened. But he knows that he's certain that was some memory of his, because it doesn't make a lot of sense otherwise. It is a very, very odd thing that happened there.
Mm-hmm.
So, last couple episodes, we're going into episode 12.
Yep. Episode 12, we have the true nature of the curse.
This is a fun one.
Yeah, so we're about to learn some stuff. This is, okay, so there's a lot to learn right here.
This first part is actually pretty interesting because, again, it was something that we mentioned before when it was kind of brought up that you were like, oh, I didn't think that was going to come back. Well, it comes back again.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing we see is back up top in Orth, Kiwi, the sweet little baby, is very, very sick, running a very high fever. Which now, let's talk about this. What's the timeline here? Because when they left, I believe Reg talked to Kiwi and said, and Kiwi was like, oh, tomorrow's my birthday. And now it's Kiwi's birthday. So was this something that happened in between and we're just now seeing it? Or has it been literally one day? It can't have literally been one day.
Yeah, it hasn't been just one day.
So I'm not sure what the timeline there is.
They said that they did make a little note that a lot of these orphans don't know exactly when their birthday is.
Yes, that's also true. But we can assume it's fairly close to Kiwi's birthday. In fact, today, when we're seeing now, is Kiwi's birthday. Mm-hmm. Kiwi's very sick, very high fever. And we see
a mysterious disease called the birthday death disease.
Yes, the birthday death disease. And we see Leader, and we see this, I don't think they named this character, but it's this pink-haired, bespectacled young lady who is like a nurse or doctor or something from one of these ships that has come out, like some kind of fleet that's out on the ocean. As we remember, Orth is this city surrounding the Abyss, this giant hole, which itself is all on a big island out in the sea. So Leader says, all right, well, let's get you're from the fleet. Let's get Kiwi out to the fleet so you can work on him there and give him some medicine or something. We don't have anything here. And the doctor is like, okay, yeah, sure. Come on, let's go. So they pick him up. They're taking him. He explains this birthday death sickness that people are getting sick and dying on their birthdays. And it's always on their birthdays. And nobody knows what it is exactly, but like as they're going, they even see some other people dressed in all black who are having a funeral.
Yeah, scattering the ashes of somebody that
scattering
died
the ashes of someone who died on their birthday. They're scattering the ashes, and they're scattering them. I thought this was a nice touch with not only the ashes but also petals from the Eternal Fortunes flower in there with the ashes mingled in, and they're scattering them into the abyss. And it's really weird because like birthday sickness, like dying on your birthday was like a joke that Nat told at the beginning, like in episode 2 to Reg, and then it turns out, oh, it's a real thing. Wow, weird, right? Mm-hmm. It's really freaky. So they get Kiwi off the island, and when they're off the island, we see the ships. We see then inside Leader coming in, and Kiwi's just sitting there. Kiwi's fine.
Yeah, his
totally
symptoms
fine.
just suddenly disappear.
The doctor even says, I didn't do anything. We got him in here and he was just good. He's fine. There's nothing wrong with him at all. If I didn't see him earlier, I'd swear there was nothing wrong ever.
Yeah, and the doctor suggests that maybe it has something to do with the curse of the abyss.
I think she actually says maybe it's another curse.
And here's the thing that I didn't like about this is that that's all we get of it.
Yeah. You gotta imagine that's coming back.
Yeah, I would hope so, because I really am curious now, because this was just almost the fly that was buzzing.
Oh, the fly's still in here?
Yeah, that's what we started this episode.
We have a fly in the studio. It's very upsetting.
Yeah, he's buzzing, and he caught my attention while I was talking,
and
that caught Brandon's attention.
And now we're just losing time.
Yep, here we go.
Sorry, everybody. Back into it.
All right, so Kiwi is alive, and he's feeling good. It's his birthday.
Alive and well. So obviously,
I hope he has a big piece of cake.
Obviously, the answer is, hey, it's your birthday. Take a vacation.
Yeah.
Take a little trip.
You're on a boat, son.
I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat. Take a good long. Okay. So yeah, that's what's happening. And then we cut back to Nanchi's house, and we see Reg. And we see Reg looking at Rico, and we see on top of Rico is Mitty. That gooey thing has like laying on top of Rico in the bed, just kind of gooing on her face. Just blah, 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 like
loving on Rico.
Just give her a little kisses.
No,
just like
Reg initially it looks
like what do you get off of there?
Maybe Mitty's trying to eat Rico, or
And Nanachi actually says, "Oh, it's not hurting her. Mitty would never hurt anyone. She's not like that. She's just, obviously has taken quite a liking to Rico, which is pretty shocking. She's usually not this chill with visitors. So there have been visitors. Nanachi, what's up with that? I thought you were super secret. We'll find out more later. But yeah, she's just very attached. Mitty's like a pet. And Nanachi actually says that Mitty is Nanachi's friend who produced that medicine that Nanachi used on Rico.
Mitty's the one that is to thank for saving Rico's life.
Exactly, which we'll find out more later. But basically, when Mitty is subjected to these poisons, somehow it doesn't hurt Mitty at all, but then using Mitty's blood, Nanachi was able to create this medicine and this antivenom, is what happened. And then Reg asked the question that I would ask and says, just who were you two before you were Hollows? And Nanachi says, you who really don't want to know. It's just going to make you want to help us. And you don't want to help us. Something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough. And then we get to see everybody trying that netherworld stew, Nanachi calls it, that gross paste that's made of all those different ingredients. No seasoning, Nanachi. Didn't even remove the entrails, just ground it all. Not even the bones. It's all just in there, ground up and boiled.
It's just a goop, man.
It looks like sticky mud.
It does not look good.
It's real bad. And Reg takes a bite of it and just... and you see his mouth open and starts dripping back out. He's like, oh man. And Nanachi's like, what is it bad? Like, I've never even had good food. And I'm like, no, Nanachi, no. Nanachi's so like clearly embarrassed and upset by this.
Yeah.
And Reg
it's the first time you see Nanachi not be so dry.
It's pretty great. Nanachi's like pretty upset about this. I don't remember if Reg actually says it, but Reg says a lot in this show, irredeemable. So it's for sure irredeemable food. And Reg actually comments that, man, if Rico does survive this, eating this really is going to kill her.
Yeah.
Which is pretty great. So Reg, not finishing his netherworld stew, because God, how could he, says, so, hey, Nanachi, you mentioned before that I couldn't see it or something, and that the curse wasn't here in this place. And Nanachi's like, yeah, that's right. And Rex says, so how do you avoid the curse? And Nanachi says, all right, I guess I can give you a lesson. And Nanachi takes Reg out back, and we see him in this little field, and Nanachi lays out this incredibly thin sheet.
Grade 3 relic.
Yeah, it's a grade 3 relic, we find out, but it looks like just this just like a very sheer curtain, like this very extremely thin gossamer like sheet that you can see right through, and you get under it and it just kind of shimmers and like above you.
Yeah, it's like if like saran wrap or something was made out of cloth.
Yeah, it's really cool looking. It's this incredibly sheer fabric, and Nanachi goes underneath it and brings Reg in underneath it with them and says, yes, this is fog weave. It's a grade 3 relic. It's incredibly thin. It just kind of floats around. It's basically just a super thin fabric, which not a great relic.
No, but kind of cool.
Pretty cool. So Nanachi explains that the curse, the truth of the curse is it's a force that goes around us. It penetrates it. No, Nanachi doesn't say that. It's not the force. But it is this, it just moves around you. And piercing through it, if you go up, breaks it, and it hurts you. Every time you break a layer, it gets worse and worse. So breaking through it hurts. Just your finger or something, and pops a finger through, not so bad. But if you go through like this and like stretches it so that boom, her head pops through, and or Nanachi's head pops through, their head pops through, and maybe this is like a thing with the fog weave, is that it is self-healing, pops their head through and says, yo, they're like this, and any part of you that goes through is going to be affected. So your head, your vital organs, can't let your vital organs go through this thing, or else you're going to get messed up. And then Reg says, well, I mean, how's it okay to go down then? You're going down, you're breaking through it. And Nanachi says, well, going down's not so bad. And just like pops their head back through, and the thing's fine. It's not so bad. And they explain it it's kind of like a trap, where if you had like a trap door with spikes on the bottom, if you go down through that, you fall through, you're not really hurt. Then it closes back up, and those spikes are on the bottom. So if you try to go up, you're getting stabbed. It's gonna hurt a lot, and it would be terrible. And obviously that's what is happening. There's layers of this, and Reg says, "Well, what is it then? I mean, I don't understand what it actually is, though." And Nanachi explains, "You still don't get it. It's the force field. This force field that we've heard alluded to so many times, that light cascades down through it, which is how there's light so far down in this hole." We've heard them use the term force field so many times, but we never really got an explanation of what it is. And Nachi kind of explains it here, that there's this force field that light goes through, which is why you can see so far down here, light cascades through it, but looking up, it's different. It's harder to see through, whatever, which is why going up hurts you and going down doesn't hurt you, etc., etc. Still not a great explanation.
I think he kind of alluded to the, like a sheet or something, you can bounce it up and gradually move up without getting sick. But I don't know if that'll be something later or not. Yeah, if there is a way to, apparently there is a way to effectively travel through it, because Nanachi is doing it. Yeah.
But that's the other thing, is that Nanachi also says that, this far away from the center of the abyss, it's basically no curse here, which is why we're safe.
Being on the outside helps.
Yeah, they even say, like, we took great pains to, I took great pains to find this place, which is why I got to keep it so secret. Can't let just anybody in here. But yeah, it's really interesting, this brief explanation. And we also know that Nanachi can, in fact, see the curse as it's moving around, kind of like this sheet, this very thin sheet. Like if you wave a bit of, like, clear translucent something in the air, you can kind of see it, even though it's not, corporeal, which is what Nanachi is explaining, that they can see it. So Nanachi finally says, "All right, I'll let you experience this then," and it starts taking Reg out into the Gauntlet of Giants again, and explains, like, okay, so here's the thing. I can see the curse. The orbed piercer that you fought before, it's not just fast. It can sense it too. That's how that thing works. It can sense the curse. It senses it moving around. So it's not just fast. It literally knows where you're going to be based on what it sees you doing and how you're affecting the curse when you move. So it can effectively see the future. Mm-hmm. And that's how you got to fool it. And Nanachi takes him and takes Reg and says, "Come on, we're going to go handle stuff." So Nanachi and Reg are going out. Before they do, we see Rico and Mitty kind of have a moment. Mitty's still, like, on top of Rico, kind of like meowing into Rico's face. And we see Rico. We find out later this isn't just some weird vision. It's like a dream Rico's having. But, like, we see Rico all twisted up and, like, trapped in some kind of, like, this horrible thing. We just see this face. And
she's like a big fleshy.
Fleshy
flesh.
She's kind of doing a Mitty impersonation. Like, she looks like Mitty, all, like, fleshed out and whatnot, like, just trapped in this ball of flesh and goo, and, like,
three
horror.
Scoops of strawberry ice cream with a couple of eyeballs.
It's pretty awful looking. But then it's, like, all darkness around her, and this is, like, this little dream she's having. And Mitty, we hear this, like, this scream, and Rico looks up and she sees, like, there's just this eye, like a hole cut into a wall with this big red eye looking through, which we would recognize as Mitty's eye. Yep. And Rico, like, kind of leans in closer to it, and all of a sudden has a bit more of her form back. She's not just all fleshed up and bald. And she gets closer to it and gets right up on this eye and actually presses, like, right up against it. And, like, is looking at
eye to eye,
like literally eyeball touching eyeball, so close, like, trying to see into this eye. And it's them having a bit of a moment, apparently, and we don't really get an explanation for that until later, but it's pretty interesting. And Rico's kind of, like, got this calm look on her face all of a sudden. She was all freaked out in this dream and just terrified, and now she's all, like, just right there with it, kind of, like, with, like, these very calm, sort of soothing eyes looking into this other eye, which is just wide open and terrified and screaming. And Rico's seems like trying to, be the calm one in this situation. And that's the scene we get, but that comes back later, and that comes back later in a pretty good explanation. So now we see Reg out on one of those big goblets, walking through the water, and in his helmet, he's got this little metal thing, this little earpiece, like a little microphone, and Nanachi is guiding him somewhere, and they're talking to each other, and Nanachi's like, yeah, no, don't worry, I'm with you, I can see you fine, you're fine, just keep on moving. And then there's a loud whistle, and Reg's like, huh, and Reg takes off toward it, and Nanachi's like, hey, don't run it, don't just rush in like that. And Reg rushes in and finds the person blowing this whistle, and it's a black whistle, who is being faced down by
our good buddy, the Orb Piercer.
Orby. As it is now referred to. There's Orby. Here come Orby. And the black whistle is like, a kid, what are you doing? Get out of here, man. Oh, this isn't any place for you. It's like, it ain't place for you either, dude. You about to die real good. So Reg starts facing this thing down. And so Nanachi explains, like, look, that thing can read the field. Well, so can I. So I'm going to guide you. You need to do exactly as I say when I say it, okay? And Reg's like, okay. And Nanachi tells Reg, look up and commit to it. Really look up. Just completely ignore that thing. And Reg's like, it's about to destroy me. What are you talking about? I need to defend myself. No, look up and really commit. You want to completely ignore it. Look straight up. This needs to be a real thing that you're doing. You're not pretending to look away. You are looking away. And Reg's like really scared and shaking. He's like, all right, whatever. And he does it. And he just looks up, like completely ignoring this thing in front of him. And he does that for a second. And when he does, you see, like from the Orb Piercer's perspective, kind of this rush of this, some kind of, it looks like wind or energy. We can assume it's the curse, the curse moving around them, flies up in like a vortex going straight up around Reg. And then Reg, looking straight up, not looking at this Orb Piercer, hears in the earpiece, now jump right. And he does. He jumps right and grabs with his hand, and ping, he just grabbed onto this Orb Piercer's big whole nose thing.
Yeah.
That big red clown nose.
Looks like a wiffle ball.
Yeah, it looks like a red clown nose wiffle ball. And he's got it. He's like, how did I? That thing saw that he was looking away, figured I'm going to attack from this side. And because the thing couldn't anticipate Reg was going to do that, because it couldn't see the curse moving around him, couldn't see the energy, Reg was able to get the drop. And now that it's got that weird nose thing, that's how this thing senses all this. That's how it sees. Now he's got the upper hand. And this thing's shaking and slamming and trying to get Reg to let go of it, but he won't do it. And Nanachi's like, okay, now you gotta attack it and take it out. It's at a disadvantage. You have the upper hand. Take that thing out. And we see Reg's hand twitch and start to glow. And he gives a like, this is for what you did at Rico, and just boom, launches that, fires that laser.
That son of a gun.
Does he fire that laser?
He's charging his lasers, and then he fires his lasers.
The worst. So he blasts it, but he doesn't get all of it. This thing ends up like managing to tear itself free because he had to let go in order to fire the laser, the incinerator, and it ducks down and ends up losing, they say later, 80% of its quills in doing so. They all get burned away. That thing is not going to be back because it can't even hunt here now. It's not really a threat anymore. And it bails. And then it runs off, and Reg's okay. Reg's been stabbed by this thing, but Reg is also, a robot, so the poison doesn't really have any effect on him, it doesn't seem like. And Nanachi's like, all right. Nanachi's like amazed by that incinerator. Like, whoa, that was wild. Like, Nanachi hasn't seen that. And Nanachi's like, all right, well, we'll get back. Let's get back home. And before he does, though, before Reg leaves, Reg goes over to the black whistle that he just saved and says, hey, I want you to get a message back to Orth. And he's like, okay, fine, whatever you want. He's like, tell Jiro, leader,
the leader,
that we're still continuing our adventure. And that's it. And then he turns and leaves, and the black whistle's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, that's a hell of a story for this guy. But yeah, Reg goes back and heads back over to Nanachi, And Reg's like, man, that was amazing. I can't believe we did that. And Nanachi's like, yeah, that was great. And Reg's like, thank you so much. Let's go on back. Is there anything, I mean, you've done so much for us. Is there anything I can do for you? And Nanachi's like, well, here's one thing. And Reg's like, oh yeah, name it. I'll help you any way I can. You helped me so much. You helped us so much. And Nanachi says, oh man, I knew this would be hard to ask, but it is hard to ask. Can you kill Mitty for me?
Yeah.
What? And then that's pretty much where the episode ends, but there is a brief scene where you see Nanachi hiking up this like snowy cliff area
with Mitty on his back, and he says,
with Mitty on their back,
he
and
says,
I'm sorry for running away.
Yeah.
I won't let him keep doing as he pleases. Yeah. And you're like, how about
yeah,
what?
I was just really starting to think Mitty was cute, and I liked Mitty a whole lot.
I like Mitty a lot. And then that's the request.
Yeah.
And it's pretty terrifying.
So,
episode 13, hour-long finale.
Yeah, we go into a double episode here. And it's called The Challengers. And this episode, I am so glad they did a double episode for this.
Yeah.
Because they did it so well.
It's very well done. It's very, very well done. So, we're going in. And this one, we have another card change. Those last couple episodes were at the end of the little title sequence.
This one's Bondrew?
No, this one's not Bondrew.
Oh, was the last one Bondrew?
No,
one of them was Bondrew.
I think Bondrew shows you see Bondrew like for a bit.
One of the end frames is Bondrew. For sure.
Okay. Maybe it was the last one then, but I know this one I wrote down because the last two, for sure 2 ago it was Nanachi. I thought this one was too. Maybe it was Bondrew, or the last one. But episode 13, it's a card change and it's Liza sitting there with Rico behind her.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that. So the last one was Bondrew. Yeah,
it must have been. So this starts out with you seeing Nanachi dragging Reg back home, and Nanachi's like, man, I mean, that was so weird. He just said, hey, I'm going to sleep for a little bit, and then passed out, apparently. So apparently right after that happened, hey, can you kill Mitty for me? And then Reg was like, I'm going to take a nap. Like, apparently is how it went down. Yep. And we just see, like, Nanachi
He's got his 10 minutes, and that is it.
I got to take a power nap, baby. I'll talk to you later. You tell you what. Let me sleep on it. Hey, it's kind of a rough request. I'm going to sleep on that one. Bam, and just passes out. So we see Nanachi dragging Reg back to the house, back to Nanachi's home. And then we have a very extended flashback, which pretty much the whole first half of this double episode is this big flashback. And we see some...
And I will give it to this anime, too. They don't often do flashbacks, so... That's a very common thing. A lot of people don't like it in anime is the flashback, but this one is very well done. It's full of story.
You get a lot of exposition here, and it's really cool stuff. So we see this like a bunch of kids, and they're all kind of dirty and wearing rags and stuff, and it's in some area that's like covered in snow. It's clearly not anywhere we've seen before, fairly obviously, and there's a bunch of kids here, and one of them, we can deduce from this person's voice is Nanachi, which is this small kid with this white hair who is like wearing these rags and has this book that is all about the abyss and the different layers and all this different stuff about the abyss.
Yeah.
And they're reading this book and they're like obviously like really enamored by it, and they say they wanna go to the abyss. I want to go to the abyss and find my treasure or something, and then there's like...
Yeah, that's one big key word that he uses,
the treasure.
His treasure.
So there's some commotion like outside of this little area where they are, and all these kids run out and they gather around this point.
Some of these little kids are assholes.
These kids are little assholes. One of them, like, Nanachi's standing there with their book, and this kid is like, hey, you stink, get away from me, and like just elbows Nanachi, and he's like, whatever, and just moves over, like still clutching this big red book. And there's a bunch of people who show up, and they're all wearing roughly the same outfit, these big like black long coats. One of them we recognize from the helmet, from the outfit, from the whistle around his neck is Bondrew, who we've only seen like in a couple frames and like that one very short scene that was another flashback.
What did you say he looked like?
Well, we'll get to that later. But
Okay.
Nanachi's pretty wild looking. You said he looked like a warlock from.
Yeah, so he looks like he came out of Destiny, and he
look
does.
like a character out of Destiny. That helmet is pretty badass.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's got this wild looking like all black helmet. You can't see any face or nothing, and just this purple stripe going down the middle of it.
Yeah, if you have a PS4,
jump on that Destiny. You see what it looks like. Yeah,
well,
the PS4 the light.
The little
light
light
on the PS4
on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it does kind of look like that. But it's pretty wild looking, and this person explains that he's Bondrude. He has a white whistle.
Is it Bondrude or is it Bondrew?
Bondrude with a D at the end, I believe. That's how
it is.
That's how it is.
Sorry.
Yeah, Bondrude.
I've been saying Bondrude
like
whole
Andrew
time.
with a D and a B-O at the beginning. Bondrude. Which is a weird name, but hey.
The Japanese pronunciation of it is Bondarudo.
Bondarudo? Okay.
Bondarudo.
That's fun. But yeah, it's like this dude, and he's like, I'm a white whistle. I'm here to recruit some people to help me. I'm here to. He says something like, he makes it sound heroic. I'm here to recruit the children that will become the next great explorers in the abyss. Who here is brave enough to come with me, or something like that. And he's very careful with how he words everything clearly, and he's trying to get these kids to get on board, and apparently a lot of them do, because then we see. All these kids, including kids who are apparently from other areas, because a lot of they're all wearing different clothes and have different styles and whatnot. We see one kid, a girl with this really cool looking pink hair, like talking to some other kids. They're now like in presumably in Orth, like because it's not snowing and there's sun everywhere. And we see Nanachi, or this kid who we find out is Nanachi, standing there with the book again. And there's another kid that Nanachi sees, who's like this, girl with this pink hair, and she's like, not wearing very many clothes, like maybe from like a more tropical locale.
Yeah.
She came from. And we can assume they're from all over.
Yeah.
Like Bondrude's been doing quite a bit of recruiting, it seems. And they all end up round up, put into this big like elevator thing that takes them down, all the way down to the 5th layer, where we haven't even been yet.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone as far as level 4.
Which is the Sea of Corpses.
The Sea of Corpses. And there's a speaker that explains you'll be going down to the Sea of Corpses, and you're going to explore and blah, blah, blah. And while they're in there on this trip down, which is apparently a decently long trip down, because they actually, like, some of them take a nap even while they're in there, we see the character, again, Nanachi, like, sitting there with the book, reading the book again. And this girl with the pink hair that they saw earlier comes over and is like, hey, what are you reading? And blah, blah, blah. And I went, oh, what was that? And they strike up a conversation and start talking about it. They very quickly become fast friends. And this character introduces themselves and says, oh, I'm Mitty.
Yeah.
And explains, hey, you want to find treasure too, right? Oh, will you be my partner? Let's be treasure hunters together. Yeah. This is a very heartbreaking episode. If you haven't figured it out yet.
So we see Mitty and we're like, oh man,
this is what's gonna happen,
man.
And there's so many kids, and like what gets me is like even now I'm like, okay, all these kids are going down in this thing to the 5th layer. There's no way any of them are coming back alive.
Oh, absolutely.
That's absolutely not. There's no way. This is gonna be like a child labor suicide mission, and Mitty's going down with them and asks Nanachi to be your partner. And they get down there, they're greeted by Bondrude and a bunch of other, like, purple helmeted dudes and whatnot. And he's like, all right, well, let's get you to your rooms, kids. And they all have, like, they basically all stay in this kind of, like, communal living area where, like, there's, like, couches, and it's, like, a relatively chill place to hang out, it seems. And there's a bunch of kids in there. There's a brief scene where Nanachi is talking with Mitty again about the book, and Nanachi explains the Abyssal Faith, which is sort of a religion that's about based around the abyss, it seems. There's actually, they mentioned it a couple times before, I think, but here you get a little more explanation. And it kind of, the way it sounds is like people who die in the abyss, their energy or their soul returns to those above and strengthens them so they can go back down. It's kind of like a weird reincarnation, transference of energy and power to go, like, that keeps going, that inspires people to keep going through the abyss and, like, to find more and to go deeper, and et cetera, et cetera. It's really interesting stuff. It's also, kind of macabre, but it's happening. So while all this is happening, though, Bondrewd every now and then shows up and says, "Oh, hey, Billy, come on, it's your turn to go do some stuff," and takes a kid. Kid never comes back. Eventually, it gets down to just Mitty and Nanachi.
Yeah, and they want to go together.
They want to go together very badly. They like being together.
They're very strongly
friends.
attached, and you're getting good little glimpses of them together and them
they're like
and
always
stuff like that. It's super adorable.
Fairly inseparable.
Yeah.
I almost said insufferable. Jesus, they're inseparable.
And whenever Bondrewd finally comes,
he says,
they're in a little bed together.
Yeah, they're all together, they're just kind of curled up like in the same little bed next to each other. And Bondrewd comes and says,
we talking co-ed living?
I mean, again, ambiguous genders, but yeah, clearly it was co-ed. There were boys and girls in there, but Bondrewd shows up and says, "Mitty, it's your turn. Come on, Mitty."
At this point, you're like,
has to call a few times. Yeah, this is clearly not going to be good. And Mitty finally wakes up and says, "Oh yeah, okay," and wiping the sleep out of her eyes, and gets up and follows Bondrewd. And Nanachi actually gets up and says, "Oh, hey, can I go too?" And Bondrewd's like, "Oh no, you'll have your turn," and then closes the door and leaves. And he's gone for a second. And then we see Nanachi, concerned that no one has come back yet, doesn't want to be without Mitty, wants to go with Mitty if they're going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Gets up and gets out of the room and is kind of wandering the halls, and overhears Bondrewd discussing with another apparently lower ranked guy in his entourage, because this guy doesn't have like a big cool mask and any purple glowy lights on him. He says this guy is talking to Bondrewd and saying, "Look, I mean, I understand the research and whatnot, but I mean, these are children. Isn't it from a humane perspective?" And I really like the way he says it. He says it's inhumane. He implies that it's inhumane. He says from a perspective of humanity, this is just wrong. What's happening? And to which Bondrewd basically just says, "Good thing they aren't human." And then Mitty hears this, is like, what is, and just takes off down the hallway screaming, "Mitty, Mitty, where are you? Mitty, Mitty,
Bondrewd, you bastard!"
Bondrewd is a motherfucker. As we said before,
he is a son
Ozen actually even warned them, said before Reg and Rico left the seeker camp, warned them about all the different white whistles, and said Bondrewd in particular is a out and out scoundrel, is what she called him.
Yeah, he's a
just
sorry
a bad,
piece of shit.
Bad guy you don't really want to come across.
And I said, I don't remember if I said it here or to you, but I said, so in these last 5 episodes, I get my favorite character and my least favorite character. This dude is experimenting with children, and
in a bad way.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh god, dude, I do not want to.
This guy's rough.
I know that awful. We're about to get something too heavy right here. You can feel it.
It's gonna be bad.
You can feel Bondrewd, you bastard.
He's a son of a bitch. He's a bitch of a son.
I hate him. I
can't stand him. I can't wait for him to die.
I hope his sorry warlock ass dies.
I hope his ghost doesn't revive him.
You big old PS4 looking son of a bitch.
I think
you leave them kids alone.
What was the thing? I think the thing I said was he's Bondrewd. I'll say it. He's definitely my least favorite member of Daft Punk.
Yeah.
He's just a shitty dude.
I hate him.
But I hate him. So Nanachi runs through these halls screaming, "Mitty, Mitty, where are you?" Eventually finds this big laboratory where there's all these computers and different
test tubes.
Yeah, all kind of stuff just in here. There's all this stuff and this equipment. And on the far end of the room away from the door,
Mitty's in a test tube.
Is a big tank, a big pod tank thing that Mitty's in. And Mitty's standing there like, "Nanachi, help." And
Bondrewd, you bastard.
Clearly upset, very scared. And next to Mitty is another tank that's empty. And Nanachi's just standing there for a second like, what is this? And then a huge gloved hand lands on Nanachi's shoulder and says, "Oh, well, it turns out you came anyway, huh?" And it's Bondrewd. And he says, yeah, I think we do. You saved me the trouble of having to go get you, I guess. And Nanachi ends up in that tank next to Mitty. Mm-hmm. And Bondrewd explains, what's happening here is these tanks are a special thing that we've rigged up, that what they are is like elevators. They're going to drop down to the 6th layer, and then they're going to come right back up. And, going down the 6th layer and coming back, what happens is death or loss of humanity. It's going to be really bad. But we've tried this before with like trying to see if we can affect the curse and how it works. So what's going to happen is one of these tanks, the curse is going to be pulled out of as they come back and shoved into the other one. So one of you is going to get little or no of the curse. The other one's going to get a bunch. And we've tried this before with other things, you know, inanimate objects, animals, and whatnot. And nothing really worked. But you know, two humans going in, particularly two who are so close as you two, this could be a really big deal. Because he says
if you die, then the other one gets the curse.
Yeah, he actually says, and he actually says, now, Mitty, your tank is going to be the one getting it also. I want you to really focus on staying alive, and because you're helping your friend. If you die, then all that curse is going to go back onto Nanachi here, and you're going to really need to really dig deep and pull. This guy's a monster.
Bondred, you son of a bitch.
He's an absolute monster.
You bastard.
You know what? These fuckers make a good set of characters. They make a good like beast and creature. They make a damn good villain.
Yeah,
because I don't hate anyone as much as I hate Bondred.
He sucks, dude.
He's an absolute devil of a human being. So yeah, he explains all that.
And he does it, and he's not like your typical evil guy either. It's like he's very calm spoken. Doesn't seem like anything really affects him.
Yeah, he's everything. Every time he talks, it's all very blah blah blah. This is how blah 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 and blah blah blah. Like it's just all calculated, cold, just a complete like absence from.
But he's not like particularly angry or anything like that. He seems. Otherwise, he's well.
He's fairly unflappable. We see even later when like stuff that probably should just piss this dude off. He's like, oh okay, and like it's like he knows he's so. He knows that what he's doing in his eyes is right, and he knows that he's so, you know, maybe he's not worried about anything getting to him because I'm a white whistle, I'm so strong. Maybe that's what it is. But like clearly he doesn't worry at all. He knows he's a bad boy and he's going to do what he wants.
It feels like he kind of has like the Jesus complex.
Yeah, maybe. He's got a bit of a God complex perhaps. Yeah. What was I think the movie was Malice with John Travolta. You ask me. How's it go? How's the quote go? He says, "You ask me if I think I'm God. I am God." Like, holy shit! You haven't seen that one, have you? That's a good ass movie. That's a good fucking movie.
Well, this guy's a real bastard, Bondred, and I hate him.
He's a real son of a bitch. So they do it. They trigger the thing. The pods fall very quickly, straight down, all the way down to the 6th layer. It's like a horrible Tower of Terror roller coaster thing, and they go straight down. Boom! They land at a dead end on the 6th level, and on the 6th layer, and you see all of these. We've seen Mitty already before.
Mitty-esque.
These creepy melted abominations, these hollow abominations, like crawling around and like trying to get on the end of the tank.
What the hell is this?
It's like all the kids we can guess.
It's the kids.
Yeah. And I wrote down 6 layers, all darkness, and many hollow abominations, other kids likely. And then Mitty, for a second before it triggers and brings them back up, is crying, tears in her eyes, and Nanachi's crying too. But Mitty says, "Listen, if I'm gonna do what I can. I'm gonna make sure I live. I'm not gonna let you get hurt. And if I die, then let my soul go back to you, okay? If I'm not human, let my soul go back to you." And then it happens. It starts going up, and we see both of them fall to their knees. And there's this, it's going up incredibly fast. It's like, you know, just the pressure of that is obviously forcing them downward. But then we see like them screaming, and Nanachi, you see it zoom in on Nanachi, and like Nanachi's arms start sprouting this hair, and like a tail forms from underneath this rag like clothing that Nanachi's wearing, and like pops out, and we see Nanachi become that bunny creature. And then we see Mitty screaming, and like just hair's falling out.
Yeah, she's like
blood is pouring all off of her, and she's screaming, "It hurts, it hurts." And Nanachi's just saying, "It hurts, stop it. You have to stop." And it just keeps going. They go up, and Mitty starts screaming, "Let me die, let me die, let me die." And it's like getting just more and more,
she's like melting,
grotesque, and like just you see her melting in front of you. And this is one of those scenes where this is the scene. Now, I've said before, I cry. I don't cry like all the time, but I cry fairly often, like when, you know, something gets to me. And I personally don't consider myself crying unless like tears are actually running down my face and whatnot. But this part, I didn't cry during the show, but I did get very choked up. I felt like water in my eyes. I started like coughing a little bit.
I could feel that like that heavy hammer.
It's like a really like that tight feeling.
But
like you're about
wasn't. I didn't even have like any tears come out or anything like that, but I could feel the sadness. But it was in a later part in this episode. That really,
that's where you got it. Yeah,
But
this is the first time.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, this is the first time this show really started getting to me.
But this got very heavy, very quick,
tough, and a little bit before with Rico and Reg when like he was like trying to keep her alive and whatnot.
Yeah, you can feel the pain, dude. Like you can feel it.
It's intense, man. It's very heavy, and because they're like crying and like they know they're about like something's gonna happen. If they don't die, they're gonna be fucked up, and then it's happening, and the last thing you see of Mitty before Mitty fully transforms and just goos out is her screaming, "Let me die, let me die, let me die," and like her voice is getting all more and more gurgly, and then finally just splat, and there's just that thing sitting there, that melted hollow abomination of a former creature laying on the bottom of this pod. And then it cuts back to Nanachi with tears in their eyes, just in this bunny form. And the pods are back up, and they open. I think there's like a little mist coming out of them, because of course there would be. And Bondrew's like, well, would you look at that?
Yeah. I'm not even sure what you accomplished, you bastard.
He's just a son of a bitch. But, I mean, if nothing else, he's proven that you can, quote unquote, lose your humanity, but keep your humanity. Keep your mind,
keep your soul
and
intact.
Your soul, yeah. And that's how it went down, man. And as if it wasn't bad enough that Mitty has become this horrible creature, it turns out Bondrew apparently working with you see a brief bit where we saw that clip before where Bondrew was like rubbing Mitty on the head, and like, oh, you are kind of cute, aren't you? And Mitty's like sitting there, or not Mitty, Nanachi is sitting there like drawing
a picture,
drawing in their little sketchbook a picture of Mitty.
Yeah, he's quite an artist.
Drawing. Yeah. Nanachi's super talented in a lot of ways, clearly. But like Bondrew's like, hey, you're not paying attention. Come on, focus up. And sees the drawing. He's like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. And takes him.
Let's go see Mitty.
Yeah, let's go see Mitty. So Bondrew takes Nanachi to go see Mitty. In an even more terrible twist of fate, not only is Mitty this horrible thing that is like just in constant suffering, and like those cries, we can assume that meowing sound that's coming out of Mitty is her trying to say, let me die. But it doesn't seem to like recognize anything other than that. But as if that wasn't bad enough, Mitty is also effectively immortal. So we see this room where like Mitty has been like splattered against the wall. There's like blood.
Yeah, he's
down.
Like throwing
it's
it against
broken.
the wall. Like this is freaking terrible.
It's absolutely awful. Just torturing this thing, breaking it, squishing it, destroying it, tearing it in half, and then
I hate it too because there are real people out there like this too.
That like do that kind of shit?
Yeah, that do this kind of horrible crap.
I mean,
people are living creatures. Like
he's a torturer. He's a sadist. He's just an awful person.
This
clearly
sucks to watch.
It's really painful.
It's a damn good show because it makes you feel something.
Yeah, it makes you feel a lot, in fact. But I wrote down no matter how many times her body is broken and shattered, she grows back. If not a bit more distorted, she always grows back. She's unkillable, can't be broken permanently. It just keeps happening. And so
I'd like to refer to her as a ditto. Dittos are nice.
Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, you just kind of look like a pink goo gob with these weird claws and whatnot. But yeah, it's a real fucking bummer. And then an indeterminate amount of time later, we see that scene we saw at the end of the last episode where Nanachi is escaping, leaving with Mitty on their back, getting away, and says that line, I'm sorry it has to be like this, but I can't let him keep doing what he's doing, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, he wants to restore, like bring her back to her dignity, but he does not succeed.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so back in the present time or whatever, we see Nanachi and Reg, and Nanachi Nanachi has clearly made their plea to, will you kill Mitty for me?
Yeah, because Reg's incinerator.
Well, we get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But basically Nanachi explains that Reg's like against it. Obviously, who wouldn't be? He doesn't. I don't want to kill this thing. It's your friend. It's your person, and it's your, if nothing else, your pet. It seems. And Nanachi explains what happened. Maybe not the whole story, but certainly enough of it, and says, "Listen, Mitty can't die. I've tried. I've tried everything to try and fulfill her wish."
Yeah, that's why that's why I have all these medicines.
Exactly. The last thing she said was, "Let me die. Kill me. Let me die." And so we see a few scenes where Nanachi, like, you see how they got all those whistles. All those whistles hanging on the walls. Like, they would find someone down here who wasn't gonna make it, was hurt or whatever.
Yeah, got hit by a Orby.
Yeah, and would try to somehow see if they could use something from them to try. They weren't gonna make it, so try to see if they can anything they have can kill Mitty, so that Mitty can finally die and stop surfing. Because Mitty doesn't die, but she does suffer. She does feel pain. Clearly, she even cries sometimes, and you can look in that eye and see that there's something in there that is in pain, in a deep, deep pain. And Nanachi wants to fulfill that last wish to let Mitty die without and in the suffering. She's basically a bunny Kevorkian, but that's what we're looking for. And Nanachi explains that Bondrewd had this thing, sparagmos, I think is how it's pronounced. That's how it's spelled anyway, sparagmos, which was described as a light that returns to the cardinal point. It was a relic that is the only thing that's done any damage to Mitty. Mitty only has that one eye. Mitty did have two eyes. Somehow this light, this beam, whatever it is, managed to destroy Mitty's eye, and it didn't grow back. It's the only part of her that's never grown back. And that's what Nanachi thinks, that Reg can do that too, and that Reg can finally end this suffering. And Reg clearly again is against it, but he's understanding that this is what Nanachi wants. So Reg kind of questions, all right, well, they kind of don't talk about it for a while. They're still just in the house, existing. And Nanachi says, whatever you do, I'm gonna still help Rico. I said I would, but all right, and just doesn't press it any further. Doesn't want to put any more on him. Again, I think Nanachi even says, I know it's a weird request to just pop on you like that, but I've said what I'm gonna say, and just doesn't say anymore. And Reg, while Nanachi's in the next room with Mitty, reading Mitty a story or something that Mitty isn't understanding. I think they even have a conversation where Nanachi's like, I know what you're thinking, maybe there is something in there, maybe she does still feel or does still understand, but I've tried everything. It's been years. She doesn't recognize anything. Well, she comes when you call her name. It's just a reflex. She's not in there. There's nothing in there left, except maybe her soul is trapped, but wouldn't it make sense to then let her go and end this suffering and all that? It's a really heavy episode. Everything about it is so heavy. And Mitty seems happy. Does she have to die? That's what Nanachi's saying and all that. But, and then Reg,
well, and she also makes a plea that, Nanachi also makes a plea that, hey, one day I'm going to die, and that means Mitty is stuck here all alone. Yeah,
just still suffering forever. There's no one to even take care of her or do anything with her. And that's worse. I mean, I can end this suffering. If you can end this suffering, then it doesn't make sense to end it. And Reg to himself questions, well, okay, well then what happens to Nanachi after that? Yeah. If I do do this, then what's Nanachi do? If that's, okay, nice one. Thanks for the levity, bud. But yeah, because Reg sees that clearly Mitty is Nanachi's only reason for existing. What happens if Mitty's gone? Well, then what are you gonna do, Nanachi? And he thinks he knows the answer, and he's probably right. So they don't talk about it much more after that. We get some more scenes. And Nanachi's gonna cook, and Reg's like, "Oh, let me cook." And Reg cooks up a meal, and he tries cooking up a meal. He's like, well, how did Rico do it? And take out the guts. Oh god, the guts are everywhere. He's cutting open a fish, and he's trying to do it, and Nanachi's like, come on, man, you're just...
Wait, let me get up there. Let me grind it.
He's like, just let me grind it up. He's like, no. Let me turn it into some paste. And he serves up what is certainly better looking food, because it's not black paste. It's little, meat bits. But Nanachi's like, this smells terrible.
Yeah,
Like,
I believe
awful.
they were alluding to it smelling and tasting
Smelling
like shit.
like excrement or something.
Yeah.
They say.
Irredeemable.
It's pretty bad. This is one of my favorite bits. Nanachi like eats some and says, "Oh my god, it's even worse than my cooking." And then Reg's like, "Whatever," and he takes a bite and he's like, "Ugh." And Nanachi looks at him and goes, "Go ahead, call it irredeemable." And he goes, "It's irredeemable." Like, just straight up called that shot. I love that. Like, he keeps saying this, and then like someone else like actually comments on it, like, "Yeah, go ahead and say it, you little one-liner boy." It's really
And he
good.
does.
And he does say it. But
You know what else he does say? He says, "I'll kill Mitty for you."
he does eventually agree. They're like, there's a bit where they're like out in the back and
They're fishing.
Yeah, they're like fishing, and Reg comes to Nanachi again and is saying, like, "Are you sure this is what you want?" And Nanachi explains again, "Look, Mitty doesn't eat. She does feel pain. She does suffer. She even cries." And Reg says, "All right, fine, but if I do this, you have to keep living." And Nanachi's like, "Well, of course. I said I'd take care of Rico. I can't. I'm not gonna do anything until Rico's gone."
But
And
you can't kill yourself after we leave.
yeah, Reg makes the point. Even after Rico is fine, is well, and Nanachi actually says, "Ah, you're so cruel."
Yeah,
like he
cruel.
called it. He knew Nanachi was planning on killing themselves after Mitty was gone, and Nanachi
There's a
finally
much
says,
better
"Fine, I
option."
promise." What's
The option is to go on an adventure with them.
well, yeah, but yeah, Nanachi is super bummed, but with a smile and a little tear in their eye says, "Fine, I promise, I'll keep living." And Reg says, "Fine, I'll do it." And the next scene is where it goes down. Nanachi has set up this big, like, kind of a play area.
Yeah, it's got
All
Mitty's
like,
favorite stuffed animals.
We saw earlier there was a bit where Nanachi presented like a stuffed animal to Mitty, and Mitty just kind of chewed on it and like didn't really like it or whatever. Nanachi apparently has been making a lot of these and has surrounded Mitty in this little play area. There's like a little something like a small child would have over their crib with like little hanging bits that's hanging over it.
Yeah, what is that called? A mobile.
It's not a mobile. Like, it's not like it's like a mobile. It's not a mobile because a mobile like would spin or whatever.
Yeah.
And have little bits, but like it's little dangly bits like you'd see on top of one of those, like a little plaything that a kid lays in and like swats at them. And surrounded by all these different stuffed animals, like dozens and dozens of them. And Nanachi sits Mitty there and then steps away and turns her back. Before Nanachi does. Nanachi says to Mitty, "I'm sorry it has to be like this, but I know you're gonna be better, and this is goodbye, and that's it. I goodbye," and steps away, and then turns their back, and Reg starts charging his laser.
Yeah, he's charging his lasers.
It's not as fun this time, is it?
No, it's
is it,
not.
asshole?
It's really not.
And is charging it up and just about to fire, and then Nanachi screams, "Wait!" and then runs back over, and Reg stops charging and points his hand away.
And this is the part that like I was like, okay, this was the saddest part to me.
Yeah, Nanachi runs
if anything
over and
was
says,
close to getting me to crying.
This is
or
really
so.
rough. Yeah.
This is the scene because Nanachi just lets it all go.
Yeah,
holding
Nanachi
on
runs
to
over,
Mitty,
is just weeping and holding Mitty and saying, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. This isn't goodbye. We'll be together forever. We'll be together forever. I promise. We're gonna be together." And then says, "I'm sorry, Nanachi," or "I'm sorry, Mitty." And Mitty's just kind of like, meow. And Nanachi says, "Thank you," and then gets up, walks away again, stands next to Reg with their back turned, and says, "Do it, Reg." And he does.
Yep,
he does do it. He blasts Mitty, and puts the poor gooey thing out of their misery. And I do want to talk about that scene where like it was like Nanachi says their goodbyes, and then it kind of threw me because like Nanachi runs back, says, "Wait," like, okay, no, I don't want to kill her.
Yeah,
is what it seemed like. But I've rewatched it a couple times, and what I ended up getting from it was not that not that Nanachi didn't want to kill her.
Yeah, he was making
but
his peace. He wanted a better goodbye, I thought.
He wanted a better goodbye, exactly. Yeah. Saying that, no, this isn't goodbye. Specifically, this is not goodbye. Mitty's last thing was like talking about the Abyssal Faith. He's let my soul return to you.
Yeah, he's making his peace with the whole thing.
Nanachi's making peace with it and saying, no, we will be together. We will be together. It's gonna be okay. And I do want to point out here that Reg doesn't just blast Mitty.
Yeah, it's like a ball.
Like he's apparently managed to focus his incinerator into something more powerful and more precise, because it's like a big orb. There's no blast away from Reg or in any direction, like going through the wall or the trees or anything. It's just a big ball focused right there. Mm-hmm. And you see it all incinerate and it's all gone, and then there's nothing left but like a burning crater. And Nanachi just turns around. I wrote down, there's nothing left but a charred crater and a lot of tears. And
yeah, because this is
Nanachi is just weeping.
It's like this whole section is like, because this part when Nanachi starts screaming, "My treasure, my treasure!
I lost my treasure."
Yeah, like, oh my god, this is
because that's all Nanachi ever wanted was a treasure, and Nanachi found their treasure not at relic from the abyss, but a person who they had a very deep friendship, maybe more, we don't know, but they were so intertwined.
They were meant to be
loved each
together,
other. Clearly.
Yeah.
They clearly loved each other very much. And then fucking Bondrewd happened.
Yeah.
And now the only humane thing.
Oh my god,
this
is
to end
freaking awful.
It's really heartbreaking. It's really gut-wrenching and heartbreaking, and it hurts a lot. And I thought we were gonna have a nice, fun series after fucking Devilman Crybaby. It's always like the last episode, the shit goes down. It's always horrible, you fucker. God. You brought this, Roger. It fucking hurts, man. It hurt a lot.
It was very sad.
And just a lot of tears. And I'll tell you what, it's a good way to clean out your emotions. Sometimes you need to just watch this and get those feelings out, baby. Yeah. Get them feelings out.
I will say that after this scene, we start getting a little more of an upbeat swing to the end.
For a little while anyway. But yeah, it's a really rough scene. The next thing we see is I guess Reg dreaming, maybe. It's like there's some, I don't know, maybe it's another memory, it appears, where Liza is like cooking something. You see Liza from behind and Reg is there. It seems like it's Liza with Reg, and I wrote down Liza with Reg, another memory, what's up, what's going on? And they seem to be talking or something. And then Reg kind of like wakes up, and when he does, he sees Nanachi over by the stove, like apparently cooking with Riko.
Riko's up.
Riko's awake. Riko has her arm in a little cast, a sling, with those mushrooms still growing off her arm.
She's bouncy as ever.
She's like kind of showing and telling Nanachi what to do to cook, because I mean, can't use my hands, I got a broken arm, but you know, showing her how to do it, or showing Nanachi how to do it. So Riko's up teaching Nanachi how to cook, I wrote down, and while she's telling Nanachi what to do, Riko's kind of like stroking Nanachi's arm, because they're so fuzzy. They're just so fuzzy, just all fuzzy and love touching them. And Nanachi actually says, "You're good with your hands, huh?" And he's a little fluffy bunny. Of course you want to rub on him. And Reg, seeing all this happening, is like, hey, whenever I get closer, like rub you, you get all upset. Yeah. And Nanachi kind of flips and like is for a brief moment like not as cool as they usually are. I mean, we've seen them be not cool a few times now with the crying and all, but really loses their cool and is like, that's because when you rub me, it's like lewd or whatever. And it's a weird sentiment, but also, like, clearly Nanachi doesn't super love getting touched on by Reg, but it's not as bad with when Riko's rubbing him. It's kind of fun. So then the food's done, and it looks way better than anyone else's cooking, because Riko actually knows what she's doing. And Nanachi is like, I guess it looks okay. And Nanachi takes a bite of the food, just one bite, and you see tears well up. It's so good, it brought Nanachi to tears.
It made this little bunny cry.
And then just like,
good.
And they're just like, and you just keep going and just chomp, going in on this food.
It's okay.
Yeah, and then Rico's like, oh, was it good? And Nanachi's like, it was all right. You're not half bad. And then Rico says, hey, wasn't someone else here?
Yeah.
And Reg and Nanachi kind of freeze, like, what? How would you even know about? And we find out Rico explains this dream that she had that we saw a little bit of earlier, where she was trapped. She says at first she was trapped in some kind of like crevice, like between two big rock
tightened
walls,
up on her,
and it kept getting tighter and tighter until it just squished her, and finally she was that weird like fleshy thing, and she was trapped, and she couldn't scream, she couldn't talk, she couldn't move, but she was so afraid. And then there was someone else there. There was a girl there, and all she could see was her eye. But that girl was even more afraid, maybe afraid for her. And Rico couldn't talk or anything, but she goes over to that eye and just tries to tell her with her eyes that it will be all right. And that it's going to be okay, and tried to calm her down. As scared as Rico was, she was trying to calm this other person.
Somebody else down.
Trying to, help someone else, even though she was the one who was dying laying there. And she says, then I smelled smoke, and the crying was gone. But then I saw a girl there, and I knew it was her, because I saw her eye. But I only saw her in profile, but it was a girl, and she looked just like any of us. She was a girl, and I saw her just walk away, and she was gone.
Yeah, and you get a clear outline that it is Mitty.
It is in fact Mitty. You can see Mitty, having seen her in her human form before. You can see it's Mitty's human form, and it kind of implies that Mitty's soul was in fact freed by this.
Yep.
And then after that, that's when Rico managed to wake up. It was really good. It's very emotional. Nanachi kind of tears up again, and then excuses themselves and gets out of there. Doesn't want to be around necessarily because might start crying again. And in the next scene, we're at some hot springs, which are good for healing. This is a fun.
Yeah. Also, if you thought you were gonna get out of this series, if you thought you were gonna get out of this episode 3, without a penis reference,
episode 13,
yeah,
not talking about that wee again. You know what?
Oh, and it's not just a wee.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We went 7. Count them, 7. That's a world record for the show. 7 episodes without mentioning Reg's dick. We were doing so well.
And
we were doing so well.
It's
not just it's the mother of all PP references.
He's got a fully erect penis.
All right, you're getting ahead of us, bud. But yeah, we're at the hot spring. Nanachi is telling them, yeah, it's good for healing. Get on in there. And Rico asks Reg to help her with her clothes because she can't really get them off with her arm still busted up. And so he does so, blushing the whole time and whatnot. And Rico manages to strip down and goes into the hot spring, and it's warm and it's nice. And Nanachi says, Reg, why don't you go in there with her? Chill out. Have some fun for once. You've been on edge for so long. Just chill out. I'll keep watch and whatnot. Yeah. And then while they're in the water, they're kind of standing there. And Rico's like, oh, the water's so warm. It feels great. Oh, wow. And this is the water changes color wherever they move. It's kind of like if you've ever seen those videos where the krill or whatever in the ocean, when it splashes up, it's iridescent. You can see it glowing. It's kind of like that. It's changing color around them. It's really neat. And then I think Rico looks at Reg and then looks down. And she basically is like, yo, bro, what's with your dick, bro?
Yeah. Your penis, Reg. Your penis. What's up with your penis?
What's up with your penis, Reg? And Reg apparently has popped a boner.
He's got him a bone.
And then he's immediately blushes, freaks out, ducks into the water, trying to hide.
And she's trying to check. She wants to know about this.
It's yo, what's up? What that dick do, bro? What's up with that dick, bro? Hey, bro, what's up with that dick, bro?
Oh, my God. Here we go. Here we freaking go.
Fucking goddamn kids.
Also, so Nanachi throws out there like,
straight
hey,
up puts his ass on blast.
Yeah.
Puts him completely on blast and says, "Oh, what are you so worried about, man? You already kissed her, right? Choo, 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 choo. You already kissed her, right?
Yeah.
You guys kissed, right?"
And Rico's like,
and he's
a
like,
kiss?
stop it! And he's like waving his hands like, no, 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 no. And Rico's just like, kiss? What are you talking about? Kiss? What kiss? What are you talking about?
Tell me about
it wasn't
this
a kiss.
kiss.
It wasn't really a kiss.
It was only a kiss. It was only a kiss.
Now they're going to sleep.
And she's calling a cab. And he's having a smoke. And she's taking a drag. Nailed it. First try.
So good. So good. Yeah, it was... Jesus Christ, this fucking show.
Reg's Mr. Brightside.
Puts that fucker completely on blast with that. And apparently Nanachi likes to watch, even though, like, Nanachi's actually just sitting there, like, keeping watch or whatever, and is, like, just kind of watching them, like, just flounder around, trying not to embarrass each other or whatever, or themselves. And Nanachi actually says, "I can't bear to look at this," but keeps looking at this.
Yeah.
Which is pretty great. And then Nanachi kind of to herself says, "Mitty, thank you. You pulled Reg's treasure from the abyss."
Yep.
Like Mitty, they clearly had a moment where Mitty was, even in her, horrifying hollow form, was able to connect with Rico subconsciously maybe. And yeah, that's kind of the explanation.
Gave Rico something to focus on too. Yeah. And now Reg has his treasure.
It's all very touching and
tear.
Sad. We get a scene with the mushroom removal, which is really painful, obviously, like they said it would be. So much so that, like, Rico doesn't even have control over her own bodily functions, but she's, like, screaming in pain as these mushrooms are being removed. Yep. We knew it was going to hurt, and it does hurt a lot. We see that Rico, afterwards, they're, like, kind of getting ready to, continue on or whatever, and Rico's, like, standing there with her hand in the air, with this gnarly scar just all over her like forearm, and
it's really weird how they draw it. It's like it goes in, but it also goes out.
Yeah, it's like really it looks horrifying, but it's super gnarly. And she's Rico's standing there with her arm in the air, like her hand's not moving, and then she's just like focusing very intently. It's like a Kill Bill wiggle your big toe moment, and you see her thumb just kind of twitch just a little bit. She says, "Okay."
Nobody can see this, but Brandon did the twitch.
I did do the twitch.
He acted the whole damn thing.
I acted it out. Hey, that's how you get into character, guys. But yeah, she clearly has a little bit of feeling, even though it's not much. Like Nanachi said, there's definitely some nerve damage, and I'm no good with nerve damage, but she's able to move her hand a little bit at least. And then she talks with Reg for a little bit and saying, "Hey, Nanachi told me you were so crying and scared." And Nanachi apparently told Rico that Nanachi saw that, and they were like, "You know what? That's me. That's me right there." Is the exact words. That's why Nanachi took pity on them, because Reg standing over Rico crying so desperately, trying to save her, was Nanachi trying to save Mitty so desperately. Yep. And couldn't do it, but ended up, freeing her from that horrible prison she was in. Fuck Bondrewd.
Bondrewd, you bastard!
Finally, Nanachi comes and Rico runs over and says, "Hey, I know you've done so much, but will you join us? Will you go with us?" And Nanachi agrees. Yeah. And everyone's so happy. Reg's all happy. Reg runs over and hugs Nanachi, and Nanachi's like, "You're too close again." Like, does not like Reg being all up on him. And Nanachi actually says, "Mitty would be so mad if I abandoned you after all this." And then the credits roll. There's a great little series of scenes when the credits roll.
Them first sending up the balloon.
Yeah, they have like a little package, like maybe with letters or other stuff, information and whatnot that they've gathered on a little balloon, and they send it up, and you see the balloon traveling and like going through the different layers, and it's always like getting caught on something. Gets caught on a tree in the third layer, and Marl sees it through the big telescope, and they manage to get it. They fix it up and keep sending it on. And then like on the next layer up, or no, the first thing you see is it almost gets nailed by one of those Kaba Jacks. What was it?
Kaba Jack.
Yeah, something like that. One of those guys. but it doesn't, and it keeps going, and then it gets stuck on the tree mark, fixes it, and it keeps going, and then the next layer, it's like, pretty much ignored by most of the birds and like the corpse sweepers, because they like food. And
Madoka Jack. That's it.
Madoka Jack, one of those things. And then getting up to the first layer, like, gets hit by a swarm of bugs, and it's all messed up, but it's still barely hanging on, and eventually it ends up on the landing somewhere on the first layer, where who else but Nat and Shiggy managed to find it and take it. Meanwhile, interstitially between with those scenes, you're also seeing like they make a new backpack, and they're waterproofing all their clothing and equipment.
She's got a new little hand thing for Rico.
Yeah, she's got like
kind of help her grip
like
stuff.
A glove thing that like she can kind of constrict and like helps her move her hand a little bit. And they're just gearing up, man.
And this song that's going on throughout this whole scene freaking rules.
All the music in here is so good, but yeah, this one is
it starts
good.
off with piano, and then there's like these ambient wailing guitars in the background.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And I think that said the only thing that I really didn't care for were the vocal tracks they put over it, because I didn't think it needed it.
I really like the vocal tracks.
It kind of had that, at one point it had like that Metal Gear Solid Middle East
like the wailing kind of thing.
Well, no, the way they do the singing or whatever, the vocalization,
like the throat singing kind
of
thing. Yeah. I mean, I really like all the music in this show. It's all very, very good.
But it is still very, like, that doesn't ruin it. It's still a great song.
Yeah.
I really wish they would have reached out to me for Incinerate Me.
Incinerate me with your heart waves.
With your heart waves.
We actually, you realize you keep doing this. We're going to have to actually, like...
me.
All right, you write it, give me the chords, and we'll play that. We'll work it out, man.
Wave.
Yeah. Here's what we'll do. You
maybe
write
we'll
up
just
the
keep
chords.
stitching all the anime we watch together into one big song.
We might.
It doesn't make any sense, but every
first
one
track is sad about cartoons. Then we'll go into Incinerate Me with your heart.
And eventually, once we have a minute of audio, it can be our outro song.
You're fucking worst.
Because my buddy Petty Theft is sending me music, so I'm bouncing songs in and out of there.
Worst. But you know that you keep doing this. We're gonna have to write this. You get on the guitar. I'll grab a keyboard and a kazoo, and we'll just pound it out, man.
Yeah, man. We got the instruments. We got every instrument you could ever need in this house.
Christ.
I got 12 guitars right there.
So we also, while the letter thing, the little balloon's going up, we see them preparing and getting ready to leave. We see Nanachi. Finally, they start to leave, and Nanachi takes one last look behind at their home and turns, and they leave. And that's when it goes to black. And there's one last scene where we see Bondrewd. And
you bastard! I hope people can hear every time I say "you bastard." My fist is clenched and I'm shaking
it. Like he's so angry.
You bastard!
You son of a bitch! But we see Bondrewd in this last little scene right at the end, very end of the credits, sort of the stinger. This is where Nick Fury would show up normally. But he's standing there, and there's this big wall with these little lights with all these little symbols in each of these lights.
This son of a bitch is still tracking all of these kids.
He's tracking everyone
to figure out when they die.
Yeah, and we see most of them are lit up. There's a few that have gone out, I think, but for the most part, they're all lit up. And he goes to one, and he sees that it's gone out, and he says, "Oh, well, congratulations, Nanachi. I guess you finally
to kill her.
You finally managed to do it." Not clearly that's Middy's light, and Middy's light has finally gone.
Then he expresses the desire to meet Nanachi again. Like, oh, come on, you leave these damn kids alone.
You son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch.
Hey, Roger, is he gonna take him to the Walmart?
Beep.
Fucking worst. But yeah, that's the show, man. That's
I don't want him beating any more children, dude. He's done enough.
I don't think he ever beat a children. He just fucked them all up so horribly.
Than the parents at Walmart that are beating their kids every time you go in
he's a real
get you
monster.
a 10-pack of waffles.
I'll tell you, if nothing else, this show gave us some very interesting characters, some very easy to hate villains. Yeah, it really
just really one easy to hate villain.
Oh yeah. But yeah,
But I guess in the way they did it, one is all you need.
Yeah, I mean,
this guy's a bastard.
Ooh, boy, it's rough stuff, man.
So overall, the show is done just so well. It's so beautiful.
It's very beautiful. I loved it. Is good. The soundtrack's great. The visuals are amazing. This is a like.
Every single character makes you feel something.
This is a 10 out of 10, baby. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and it really builds you up.
And that's season 1. Now, we should point out season 2 has been greenlit. Like, we know it's coming.
Yeah, they have acknowledged and said that they are making a season 2. There's no date for it.
I can't
do
wait.
also
I
want
cannot wait.
to mention that it won the best anime for Crunchyroll in 2017 and the best soundtrack.
Yeah, which makes perfect sense. The soundtrack's amazing. And like there's one song in particular that I like a lot that they played throughout it a few different times. I'm trying to find the name of it now. Here it is. It's I'm not going to try to impersonate it, but like it's this song that like has like, first of all, all these tracks are great. There's like great beats. There's a lot of tracks that have like that wicked like violin going through them. It's so good. There's a lot of good stuff. There's a few tracks with vocals that are very good. One in particular is in English. There's another one that's not in English that's called Hanazeve Karadhina. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, but apparently it doesn't matter because it's not a real language anyway. The lyrics that are in this song aren't a real language. They've said, the creator has even said on Twitter and whatnot, it was completely made up. They just thought it would, it made sense to sound like that. And it does. It sounds amazing. Yeah. It's that one that like, it kind of starts out kind of chill, and then there's this vocalization that is saying something in some language that we know is not a real language, and it kind of sounds like.
Well, now we know it's not a real language.
We know it's not real, but it kind of sounds like it's being like put through like a vocalizer or something. It's really rad. Like the music in this show is so good. The visuals are amazing. I've said so many times it feels like watching like a very long movie because it's so cinematic and how it goes from scene to scene. And so. It's just really good, man. I really enjoyed it.
We didn't really, we kind of said it, but we didn't put like a number or anything. And I think we're gonna keep the review to where we don't have a number.
Yeah, I don't like putting numbers.
I can say we did it kind of for Devil.
Give me your 3 words.
Baby. 3 words.
3-word review.
Beautiful, visceral, and man, it's really hard to choose between heartwarming and heartbreaking.
Heartfelt. That's good. Yeah. That's very good. I like heartfelt. God damn it. I definitely called you out and said, give me your 3, and I hadn't even thought about mine. I would say it's the easy one for me. I've said it so many times, is cinematic.
Yeah.
It's very well done. I would say cinematic. I would say, I think heartfelt is good. I'm trying to think of another way to say that, but I'll just steal yours. Yeah. Heartfelt. And I would call it, this is kind of a weird one, but I think it's apt. It's a little bit deceptive.
Yeah.
Because it's so cute, but man, oh man, it gets.
Yep.
There's a lot of dark stuff. There's a lot of dark undertones.
So I feel
like calling it deceptive detracts from it a little, but that's what I would call it.
Advising people whether or not it's worth watching this. So I would say Devilman Crybaby as well. I would strongly recommend viewing both of those.
Yeah. What I usually do is when I recommend something to someone, I give them a little, not any spoilers. Mm-hmm. Not any kind of overview or anything, just kind of a like, watch out for this. So with Devilman Crybaby, I would say absolutely watch that, but there's a lot of sex, a lot of violence. It's going to be very graphic, incredibly graphic. I think that's a word we both used. But whereas this one, I would say definitely watch it. I don't know how to describe it because it's
tighten up.
Yeah, it's there's parts that are really rough and like kind of horrifying.
Yeah.
Overall, I think it's very beautiful and uplifting.
It really is.
Despite the fact that they're going so deep, maybe that's what they were going for.
Well,
it's, you know what? Show's deep.
And they're following, they're going down for somebody who very well might be dead.
And also, let's talk about this. You got to deal with kids talking about their privates.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah, there's penises and ding-dongs.
That's one thing that
you don't see them, but
that's one thing I was kind of weirded out by is how like there's 2 different points that I can absolutely say there was like, Rico, when Reg was passed out, just straight up can't possibly get consent, but she's like all checking him out. We find out later it's described. You don't see it, but it's described.
Yeah.
And then fucking Habbo was probably the worst because he just straight up picks the kid up and is like, let's see them balls.
Yeah, let's see that ding
What the
dong?
fuck, Cabo? Like, that was really fucked up. But yeah, I really did enjoy the show a lot.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
I think it's very well done.
There's not many, like...
Tell your friends.
Yeah, there's not many bad things. It's a near perfect anime. It's very good.
Very, very well done. Absolutely.
So, moving on before we do a question.
Oh.
The next anime we're going to be watching is called Gamers.
Gamers.
Now, you can find this on Crunchyroll. You can find it on Funimation if you have Verve or VRV.
Apparently, it's also on YouTube.
It's also... I was looking for like a preview to show Brandon. But it is also... I learned that it's also on YouTube. So, you can watch it for free. I don't know. I doubt it's legally on YouTube, so who knows if it'll get pulled down
guys,
or not.
just,
but I played the first episode, part of it, and it works. So you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
But if you have Funimation or Crunchyroll or Verve,
please watch it on that.
Yeah.
Like, people track those clicks, and we want them to know like what we're watching and what's good.
And I've watched the first 2 episodes of it already. Brandon hasn't seen any.
I haven't seen any. I don't know anything about it except that it's apparently something about games and a school club about games.
You got some gamers here. We wanted to go with something a little more uplifting, because both of the animes we've done back to back have been terribly dreary.
At points. This last one, I think, overall was very uplifting, but oh god, it had its horrifying low points.
This is going to be, it's going to be more of a comedy.
Now
you
say that.
A comedy.
You say that, and I don't know if I can trust you. Because this last one looked very cute, and then it was horrifying. Particularly,
and I also sent you another one that you looked at a review at, which I do really want to do still. So
there was another one we talked about that we're not going to say the name of it because we might do it later. But
you can read them what that review said.
Let me pull up the text I sent you because I took a screenshot of this because he was like, "Oh, check this one out. It looks really good. Tell me what you think."
Reading it on Surface, it sounds pretty good.
It sounds pretty great.
How can it go wrong?
And then I googled. I was like, "Let's look up some reviews, see what the rating is." Mostly, I just want to see like what people think.
And it does have good ratings.
High ratings. It does have very high ratings. Mostly like 8s, 9s, and 10s. And this one review I found, 9 out of 10 found this helpful. So obviously it's not just this guy. This person on review site says, "Bring a box of tissues because you're gonna cry."
Yeah,
that's about the show that we're not watching.
Cry.
That's the one we're not watching. What we are watching is Gamers, correct?
Yeah. Gamers, Gamers.
I don't know anything about Gamers. I did look up. A very cursory glance. I found a very short description of it that I'm not even gonna be able to look up now. But it was something about a kid guy who goes to this school and he gets invited by this girl to join a club where they play games and stuff. And I don't know about you guys. Maybe you've played this. Maybe you're like me and just watched a Let's Play. But I read that and I was like, if this turns out to be some of that fucking Doki Doki Literature Club bullshit where it turns out it's horrifying.
I don't think that's the case.
Here's
the plot. It's very short, so I think I can handle this one.
All right. Don't fuck up.
Keita Amano, a high school boy who enjoys playing video games by himself, is approached by the beautiful school idol, Karen Tendo.
Karen Tendo,
dude.
Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm not watching this.
We're watching this. Karen Tendo.
You fucking jack. Fuck you.
To join the school's gaming club, Keita tries it out, but finds it's all about competitive gaming, so he declines her offer.
Fucking Karen Tendo, you bitch.
The rejection sends off a trigger of events that the lives of Keita and his fellow students in matters of both video games and romance, with no small amount of misunderstandings along the way.
What you don't know is Keita's last name is Tari. Keita Tari.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Karen
Keita
Tendo.
Miga.
Have you met my best friend, Jimmy Sony?
Jimmy 3DO.
Fuck you, Roger.
This is Sammy CDI over here.
This is my friend Microsoft.
Now, on an outer glance,
Jesus
watching
Christ.
you're I think there is
I'm already
something
pissed off at this.
I think there's something more to this anime than your just outer glance of, okay, so we got a bunch of misunderstandings with a bunch of nerds and one really, really beautiful girl. It's that common anime thing. But going into that second episode, I hit a couple of points. So I was like, wow, there's really some good character development here. Now something interesting just happened.
I will defer to your better judgment. So how many episodes is it? How many are we watching?
It is
Karen
12
Tendo. Fuck
episodes,
you,
I think.
12 episodes, so 444?
Yep, 444. That's how we're going to break it down.
And then it turns out that last one is 3 hours long, and it's going to be an extra long episode.
I don't think that's the case.
I'm sorry if this one's been long, guys. We got a lot to cover.
This anime came out in 2017, and it has overall very positive reviews.
All right, I'm down. Let's
check it out.
out.
Generally around a 4-star review, 4 out of 5. So,
Karen Tendo.
You. Okay, and in the first... You'll see a bunch of video games, real life video games in here.
Yeah, all right.
There's going to be things from Persona.
You said you saw some Guilty Gear stuff.
There's Direct Mario references.
The character's name is Carintendo.
Yeah. Well, and she's speedrunning Mario in the first episode. So
Fucking bitch. Talking about Roger.
hey, you want to watch Prison School?
All right. He keeps bringing that up, and he's told me a little bit about it, and I'm terrified, and I'm
If
sure
anybody
it would
has
be
seen Prison School and you would like to hear us review, if you would like Brandon to go through,
I feel like here's how I feel like that would
break
go.
that anime down.
I feel like you've described it to me briefly. I feel like that's a show that I would not enjoy watching, but hearing me talk about it may be entertaining.
I think it
please
would
don't
be-
make me watch that.
I think it would be extremely
you know what?
entertaining.
I'm fine with you putting that call out because no one gave a shit about the Chevelle thing.
Yeah, but
so I don't think they're gonna call for
we're
it.
still small, baby. The universe is growing. This is going to be out there for the rest of the time. People are going to listen in. They're like, "Hey, I listened to that episode. Can you please go watch Prison School?"
You're gonna make me very upset.
Oh man, and I personally, I thought Prison School was hilarious, but I think that
According
my
to
good
Roger,
buddy
it's
Brandon,
not my sense of humor, so it
is-
seems like it'd be a bad time for me.
yeah, it's very, very in the gutter humor.
All right. Well, let's
You
get
got
on
a
to-
lot of
how
women
about-
beating on men with their big boobies and their
That sounds ridiculous.
flapping
thanks.
around.
I'm good, thanks.
And these
why don't
kids
we
love it.
Tell you what, why don't we get on to that those listener questions?
We got a
We got
question.
some listener
We got 2 questions
questions.
from our good buddy Clayton.
We
So I'm gonna
got
have you.
Oh, Clayton sent us double.
Yeah,
I thought we
so-
finally had someone else. I'm fine with it. Thanks, Clayton.
Clayton's our good buddy, man.
Rest of you get on the ball. Jesus.
So we'll save one of these for next week for sure, because they're both good questions. So
All
we got
right.
question 1 and question 2. Which one would you rather go for?
Let's go with question 2 is my lucky number. Bring it.
Number 2.
2 is my lucky number.
Okay. What makes an anime perfect or good?
Perfect or good. For me, I think it's just the whole package. Like this one, Made in Abyss that we just finished. I would call it near perfect. I really enjoyed it, even though it's just the first season. I can't wait to see what's going on next.
Yep.
The fact that
Hooked
it makes you want more is pretty big. You know, there's some shows like Fooly Cooly, for example. I love that show. It's only 6 episodes. Part of me very much wishes there was more, and apparently more is coming. But
Yep.
for what
we
it
will
was,
review that when it comes out. And it's this year too.
Yeah. At the same time, like, that was so good that I'm pretty satisfied with the package that I got. If this show didn't keep going, I think I'd be okay with it. I want to see what's more, but I really enjoy what was out there for this one.
I
You want
desperately
answers.
want
I
there.
want
I
answers,
want
too.
there to be more.
But I think overall it's the whole package of
But
it.
if nothing else came out, I still would not regret watching this. I would still
Yeah.
recommend watching it.
But yeah, I feel like the overall what makes a show very good is if it doesn't have to be necessarily rewatchable, because some of my favorite shows I've only watched once, but I think the main thing
Sometimes it only takes one time.
yeah, I think it's just got to be the whole package. You got to have, if the art's good, if the story's good, if the characters are well developed, if the music is very good, then that's enough to pull me in. That's enough to get me hooked, and that's enough to make me want to keep watching. And I
Yeah.
think this show did that very much.
Yep.
And I think that's how you make a good show, right?
Yeah. I think the answer to this is it just varies person by person.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
It's all about what you like. It's like we just talked about Prison School. I have my good buddy AJ out there might think that, hey, this is a perfect anime. This anime
It's so
made me
funny.
laugh
Ha,
so
ha, ha.
hard.
Look at them
But I know
titties.
that my good buddy Brandon Bush is gonna be like, this is
I feel like it would
irredeemable.
Irredeemable, indeed.
And some people, there are tons and tons and tons of people out there. Dragon Ball Z is a very good answer. Do I think that it's a perfect anime?
Nah.
No. Do I love what it did for me and love growing up with it? Absolutely. Am I watching Super? Absolutely. And there are people out there, there are legions of people who are like, this is the perfect animated show.
Yeah, I get that.
So I think it just goes by person. It's whatever speaks to you.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever speaks to you the most. The more it does, the more perfect it is. It makes you feel something. I walked away with Made in Abyss with a bunch of feelings inside of me from a piece of art that I just watched. It felt very, very, very good to watch it, and it gave me a near perfect experience because I was hooked the whole damn time. It was right up my alley.
Yeah, man.
So I guess that would be my kind of wavy answer to that. It's a really hard one to answer, kind of, but it was a very good question. So thank you, Clayton. Our final little thoughts here. I do want to go ahead and replug the Facebook group. If you go out over to the Facebooks.coms and you /groups and you /the Good Buddies Universe, then you'll be able to find us. You can add in the page there. We will accept you immediately. Me and Brandon, the good buddies, are going to be, admin it up.
A subsidiary of Rapid Kick Media.
Yep, the Rapid Kick Media page is on there as well.
It's a good time.
I would like to go hit it up. And if you don't have Facebook, you can still email us at thegoodbuddiesanimepod@gmail.com.
For sure.
Send us questions. I check it every day. So, and if you just have something you want to say something nice to keep me and Brandon going, please do.
Yeah, man.
That's nice. It's always nice to hear from the peoples.
I'd like to mention again that haven't done a whole lot with it. I'm getting into doing stuff with it a little bit, but I do have the Good Buddies, all one word, .tumblr.com is a little Tumblr I set up where mostly it's just me posting, the episodes as they come up, but we got some memes and shit from the shows we watch. It's kind of hard to find them while we're watching them because spoilers.
Yeah.
But there's some, I'm doing stuff there that's also got an ask box where you can drop us a line, and that's, I'll tell you right now, that's the way to get directly to me because it goes straight to my phone. So hit your boy up. Beyond that,
if you guys if you say anything on the Facebook group that's directed at Brandon and I don't think he's gonna see it or whatever, I'll just text him. I'll be like, Brandon, hey,
check this shit out. No, I mean I'm an admin on that one, so I'll get the notification for sure. But beyond that, of course, as always, I really want to give a big thanks to our good buddies, Married with Seamonsters, aka the Mary Janes, for the use of our opening theme song, Paperdoll.
Yeah,
you can find that at themaryjanes.bandcamp.com. Super great stuff. Check it out. Again, not really a band anymore, but the backlog's amazing. Check it. And
our good buddy Petty Theft for singing me song after song for this entire project. If you ever hear some some ambient music,
some fun music,
something going crazy in the background at the end, that's probably my good buddy Petty Theft. Yeah, he's a super cool guy, so thanks to him too. You can find him on SoundCloud and Bandcamp as well.
Yeah, man,
Petty
good stuff.
Theft.
And I think we got there. Have we figured out like a sign off for us yet? Do you have anything you like?
What did we do last week? Didn't we do something?
The thing you said was, "I know you beat your kids at Walmart." We're not going to do. No, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that. That's terrible.
Bondrude, you bastard!
Bondrude, you bastard isn't good. And as always, fuck Bondrude.
Yeah,
that's
son of a. You sorry sons of bitches.
I don't know. We'll figure something out. How about? And until next time, I'm your good buddy Brandon,
and I'm your good buddy Roger.
Stay good, buddies.
I hate it.
We'll work on it. All right.
Take it easy, guys.
We love you guys. Bye-bye. See you next week.